So today I want to talk about relationships in general, but the types of relationship. Shalom Tamar, the different types of relationships, like monogamous, polygamous, and polygyny particularly, and the difference among them. Because I think a lot of times people really don't understand them by in terms of the functions, you know. So just want to get into it and then get into other aspects of this subject, as in monogamy. Mono, as we know, mono means one. So monogamy is where you have one man, one wife. That really is more of a Western or Catholic belief system. It's not much dependent on nature or something functional, because the way it's set up and the nature of man and woman. Now, polygamy is pretty much what we see today in this society, right? Poly means many. So polygamy is where one man can have more than one wife and one woman can have more than one husband. That is also dysfunctional because it goes against the laws of nature, right? But that is commonly practiced in this society. Polygyny, on the other hand, is where one man can have more than one wife. However, the woman is forbidden to have more than one husband, right? And that is a common practice in the Eastern world, basically, right? Which I think a lot of us are familiar with this, even within the scriptures, and it goes in alignment with the nature. So most of the times we don't try to understand the nature of the man and the nature of the woman and the nature in general, because the scripture says, observe the ant, So when you observe nature, there's a lot of things that it can tell us about ourselves, right? So when you look at the monogamy, women who are in their natural state of mind, their right state of mind, naturally they are monogamous by nature. This is why even in a polygynous relationship, these women who are in their right state of mind do not need to act outside of their nature, meaning they don't need to go with another man, because naturally they're in the confinements of their nature. So that is what it is for them. When a woman is destroyed to some extent, belief wise or whatever it is, right, or physically she's numb, right, it alters her state of mind. So when you see they go do this, do that with that person, she's not in her right state of mind. Like, for example, when you take a woman that has been trafficked and they drug them, right, and then they start doing sex with, how it goes with trafficking. Those people are not in the right state of mind. They're very numb, and it's going to be hard for them to create a functional relationship, right? So we're dealing with people who are in their right state of mind, the natural state of mind, and people who are outside. So we have to discern between what is functional and what is dysfunctional. So the greatest thing a woman can give to a man would be her soul, meaning she's complete or full or in total wholeness with that man. Once you see the woman start stepping outside of that, she's actually stepping outside of her nature. It means something is wrong up here. Either the beliefs of that infiltrated her mind has been altering it, or maybe things that she witnessed, maybe from childhood, maybe she saw how her father treated her mother. Because remember, we learn two ways mainly. Two ways we learn about relationships mainly is we learn by observations and we learn by experience. So we observe how our fathers loved our mothers, how our mothers loved our fathers. We're learning by observation. But then there's the experiential part of learning. So what is it that most of us witness as a child? When we were children, what is it that we witness in the home? How did we witness our fathers loved our mothers and vice versa? That was what we were learning, right? And then with the different belief system from this Western society, all of that put together, it creates one corrupted knowledge. So now what you're seeing is a woman trying to downplay a man. Shalom, Empress, yeah. A woman trying to downplay a man because she thinks that he cannot control his nature. She's trying to impose her nature on the man. Because naturally for a woman, she should be monogamous. So it does not take any effort for a woman in her right mind to keep herself to herself. What effort does a woman in her right mind need to put into remaining faithful to her nature? Not about to the man, but to her nature. She does not need to put in any effort. Wherein for a man, the man has to put in effort. The man has to try. The man has to try to convince himself, because it is not within the nature of a man. So when you see a man trying to make effort to create a monogamous relationship with a woman, she has to be more, what you say, lenient with that person, because it is not in his nature to do. It's just like asking a woman to do something that is outside of her nature. The man would have to be more compassionate and have more grace dealing with that woman, because she's going to be doing something that's outside of her nature. So it should be looked at in the same way for the man, because we are not monogamous by nature, but this Western society has, hijacked the minds of our women. The serpent has hijacked the mind of the woman in the garden. So that's what's happening now. So as soon as a man steps outside of the marriage covenant, it's easy for them to end the relationship, for the woman to end the relationship, not realizing that, hey, the man is trying his best to live in your nature, not his, your nature, to please you. So for a woman to demand a monogamous relationship from a man, guess what? There are questions that she needs to ask. She needs to know certain things. Have you ever been in a monogamous relationship? Do you have experience of being with one woman without stepping outside of that? So if you've never confirmed those type of things, how can you just be so harsh with your judgment? Oh, he steps outside one time and you're going to end it. No, you have to understand he's agreeing with something because that's what you want. It's not because that's his nature. It's very rare if you find a man who can just do that without a certain level of experience or has gone through certain stage of maturity. It's not easy for any man. So I think women should more look at it from a different standpoint when judging such matters, because we are really going against our nature, and women think that we are wired that way. We are wired different from women. You guys are connected emotionally, mentally. For us, it's different. This is why you see a lot of times they have poor judgments by thinking that, oh, the way they are with, in the bedroom, they think it really has control over the man. Not saying it doesn't have control over certain levels of man, certain states of man, but there are other men who, it doesn't matter how skilled you are, that does not mean anything to a man. You understand? So understanding the two natures is going to be a beautiful thing when coming together. So you can know how to hold a person accountable, or how to be in your judgment, to be not so harsh. You understand? You have anything you'd like to add?
Yes.
Okay, let me turn off.
I want to welcome, I think it's Anelia. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for joining us. So we're talking about the different kinds of relationships and what they entail and what is expected out of each type of relationship. Personally, I have over the years come to the acceptance that men are wired differently. You are natural born hunters, and you tend to operate on a different mindset. Now, emotionally speaking, yes, as women, we tend to want that monogamy because that's how we are wired. The thing is, in whatever form the relationship is that you're going to be entering into, the important thing I think is communication. And what tends to happen is everybody is trying to put their so-called best foot forward when they're getting to know someone, so they don't open up about these things, about their history, about their beliefs, about certain things. They're basically just saying things that they think the other person wants to hear, and if that's not taken out of the picture, then oftentimes people enter into relationships not knowing what to expect.
Thing I can say for sure, and I think maybe you can attest to it too, that a lot of women, they do set up men to lie to them. I'm not saying that a man should. I'm not saying I support the fact that these men are men. Women have to lie about certain things, but I'm saying a lot of women put these men in positions or situations to be lied to. They want that. Some, not all. You understand what I'm saying? They by asking certain questions, a man can interpret to say, oh, she's asking this, but that's not really what she wants to hear. Because think about it. How many women ask at the dating table, are you a monogamous man, or have you had any experience with being faithful to one person throughout a long-term relationship? How many women really ask, if it matters so much to these women, how many of them really ask that before they get into bed with that man? Does it mean that much to them? Because you see, when you're a person that is grounded in certain levels of understanding or a certain state of maturity, you set your boundaries up front. You set your non-negotiables up front, because when you go to the dating table, you go to negotiate terms of agreement. That's what dating should be about. Negotiating terms. You come with what, your life experiences and so forth, whatever beliefs you grew up under. I come with the same thing. Now we're gonna negotiate to see if our terms what's the word that I want? Coincide.
Align.
You're right. You understand? So if we have more differences than similarities, then it makes no sense to even go down that road. Because if my non-negotiables and yours are total opposite, what are we going to try to come to middle ground about? That would not make any sense. So those things would have to set straight from the dating table, so you know, okay, whether or not you need to see this person again for a second date. That's how it should be. We should set that tone, so it would save us a lot of time wasting and so forth that we waste in relationships. It would save us a lot of that, a lot of troubles. And one of the other thing I notice is a lot of times people skip over certain questions at the dating table is because even a lot of women cannot control their urges. What I'm saying is that you have some women who cannot control it, but they want to hide it under the umbrella of relationships. So what they'll do is say, oh, I'm talking to this guy. Oh, he's a friend. He's a nice person. But what's really happening? Loneliness is there fueling her decision. You see what I'm saying? How many people can be by themselves without having to put themselves out there? You understand what I'm saying? Especially in religious institutions, you see this thing a lot. If you've been to churches or whatever religious groups there might be, they cannot keep themselves to themselves for too long, so they have to start moving towards a relationship under the guise of finding God. Both parties, man and woman, but you see, it's more subtle with the woman. It's like, oh, the brother has a lot of wisdom, or he's this, or he's that. Let me get closer to him. Like the Ethiopian guy in the book of Acts, when the Spirit said, Philip, go closer to the chariot. A lot of these women are like that. Let me get closer to that brother. It's not to get closer to God, but it's really to, it's a form of suppressing the urges. When they can't control it, they have to hide it under the banner of relationships. And this is why you see, after a few months, after the loneliness subsides, the relationship goes with it. I think this is Grace coming up. Hold on. Oh, Elijah. Shalom, Elijah. Wagwan.
Shalom, shalom. Bless up everybody. Blessings, sis. Blessings to
Yeah, different subject with the pan today. We are talking about relationships, the thing with man and woman, and the different types of relationship as well. So when you look at the polygamy, which is what this society pushes, what they do was they change the whole concept of marriage. Because when you look at marriage, what was really marriage in the ancient world? Marriage is an agreement between two families. That's the first thing. So right now you'll see a lot of parents, they are so-called protecting their daughters. Protecting them from what? They have no clue. They don't know what they're protecting their daughters from. Oh, you have to wait until they're this age, or you should. What are you really protecting your daughters from? That's what I would like them to answer. Because what I've seen is that they're really just trying to protect them from the guys that are inside their village. That's the only thing I can say. They protect them from the guys that are in the village, so no man in the village knows them. But guess what? As long as it's a guy from far out, it's okay. You see, that is the problem with it, because marriage would be an agreement between two families. It means that you would know the history of that family that you're going to give your daughter to. And guess what? You can tell everything about the family to say, yes, that man is a good family. That man is from a good family. The way they do things, they do all of these things is a good family. So guess what? I see where blessings would multiply with my daughter in that. So let me put my daughter in that situation. And guess what? By the fact that the father knows your father, naturally there's already a respect there, a level of respect and a level of honor. So the way that I respect your father, I'm going to deal with the daughter with mirrored respect. I'm going to treat the daughter the same way, in the same honor as I would reverence the father. So naturally, you'd have these things. And there's also the part of the legacy, wherein, for example, what if you have seer in your bloodline? Like you can see things on a spiritual level. And that family over there, one of the sons, have that capability. They would want to preserve the legacy. So now they're going to take this daughter that has a percentage of the seer left in her bloodline, and they're going to put her with that son over there that has a certain percentage, and the legacy continues. So that was part of marriage. Legacy was a very important part of it. And because the way we are, the way things are now, when we hardly have anything, it's like people don't even see the importance of getting together with a person that has a certain legacy, even if it's landed property. Because that too would be something to do what? Pass on to the generation after you. Think about it. If every time a man was walking away from a relationship, he would be walking away from, say, an acre of landed property, you think so many men would be walking away from relationships so easily? No, we would not. So you see, when there is not something greater than the relationship itself, this is what happens. There's no real substance there, more than your feeling and my feeling. And even if maybe a child comes in the picture, it is still not substantial enough to keep the family together, because it's not like they're an inheritance that is, it is written in stones already for that child. This is why a lot of women, they kind of suffer on their own after a breakup. It shouldn't be that way. And this is now where we go into what society calls hypergamy. Is that the word, hypergamy? Where the woman deals with a man of a higher status. This is something, hypergamy. This is something natural, and that's something that every woman have the right to demand. When you portray the qualities of a wife, because a lot of women think that they are to be protected and provided for just because they are just women, just because they are females. No, you are protected and provided for when you bear the title of a wife, not just in title, but in deeds. So, for example, if you're going to be the helpmeet of a man, if you're going to help the man go closer to his goals, right? Can you have an OnlyFans account and expect the man to dump wealth and all of these things on you? Can you go out there in anything you want, giving other men's thought to your body, and expect that man to be giving everything to you? So you see, we have to come back to what it really means to be a wife. When I say wife, it means that no, you become his woman, you become his possession. That's what it should be like. The wife is that possession of them. Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Further to what you were saying, I'm just realizing the fact that you mentioned that back how the culture would typically have it is that the families would know each other. The thing about it is that now, just like how I believe that children should be taught economics and how to handle finances from within the home, I also believe that the daughter is to be taught how to be a wife, how to be a mother, how to take care of the home, just like the son is to be taught how to be a man, right? But the thing is that the whole structure of the family has broken down so much that you're not having that. So then people are ill prepared. They are starting relationships not only younger, but also mentally unprepared for what that entails. And so when you add that to what the culture presently is now, you're not going to have what you would normally want to have. And that's why women kind of take things in their own hands, so to speak, and decide, listen, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to live my life. Nobody can tell me what to do. And it's a misguided perception.
Definitely, because like you said, what I see in this culture, what a lot of men and women I see doing is they are teaching their children to be children. Like, You know, you go on social media, you see this person buying all these ties for their children. Like, are you teaching your child to be a child? Matter of fact, back in our days, because this is why we were so creative. Because guess what? If we wanted a tie, we would have to go build that. If it's even with juice boxes, with the cork from the bottles, whatever it is, we would utilize resources and we would work with our hands. So naturally, we would be having that creative mind, that intellectual mindset from our youth. So guess what? As you mentioned about the daughters, right? As I said, you learn by observation and you learn by experience, because when you are a daughter in your father's house, you naturally would be learning how to take care of your father, because you're under his protection and provision. And the only thing that's gonna happen is just you're gonna shift from one protection and provision to another. The roles have not been altered, right? So for example, when it's time for your father's goat to get milk, who would be there doing it with the father? The daughter, the maid. That's what you're like. You're like a maid, but not in the same essence as a servant, a slave, a maid, right? So that's what the pair of hands. This is what our children should be to us. We have a lot of parents today. They have the children. Oh, don't let them do any chores. So you know what happens? From they're young, you don't let them do any chores. They don't wash the dishes. They don't spread their bed. They don't get up and go outside, rake the yard. Now when they're 15, 16, that's the time you realize that you really need the help. Now you want them to wash plate? Really? Go check the homes with the teenagers and see what's happening. You never allow them to help certain things in the kitchen or when you're washing. So now you need the help. Now that they're 16, you think that they're big enough to help you. You should have figured that out 16 years ago. So when you're a mother washing, you have your child next to you with a bath with soap, even if it's a pair of socks. Let him do, just move around in the bath. So he's learning the idea of doing it, of taking the initiative or the responsibility. You're washing your dishes, you put him in that soapy water at the sink. He's still learning all these things that he needs to do. And it's the same for the daughter. They are learning the idea of doing chores, of being responsible. So guess what? When your daughter gets bigger, she would go out on the farm. She would milk the goats or whatever animals you have out there. She'll do the milking. Or sometimes the father go and cut bananas or whatever. Sometimes they would have to go back and help with the load. So naturally, the chores are there naturally in her. She's learning in the home. So when she goes to her husband, guess what? Nothing changes. The only problem that I see now is men. I understand how society is, but men allowing their wives to go out and work, which we understand the financial situation that we are placed in as a people, right? But for men who can afford it, I don't believe a woman that bears the title of a wife should go out there. She should have her maids and keep her mental state in check, so she's not revolve her life does not revolve around the presence of the man. You want women who are strong in the mind. They are independent in the mind, where okay, the man is out there doing whatever. She doesn't get worried about certain things. She knows that the man's capability or what he's about or his purpose. So she can keep herself to herself for a few days. She has her maids to keep company for conversations and things of that nature. So I believe that if a man can afford maids for his wife, I believe that they should do it. That's definitely a yes. You have anything you wanna say? Ask, add, whatever. Elijah, you wanna say something? Go ahead.
Victor. Yeah, I agree. Today, even as you said, I think you said that's the last time that people misuse the word love. Society have us in a loop. We don't even know what's right anymore. So even our children, that they're just following us, and it's the blind leading the blind. Um, so I definitely agree. If you can afford it, you should make your wife and your family's life easier. And if you look into our history, or even most of these Caribbean nations, or we step outside of Jamaica, we see that still happening. I went to Haiti in 2017, and most of the people that have money, they have maids living in their yard. They have like a like a guest house that they live in, and they do everything, you know. And some of them are family members too. But in Jamaica, we're too prideful to even think about doing that. You know, we're too prideful to submit ourselves to doing that unless it's a situation where we can't do anything else. Most of the people that are um, doing housework outside of like hotels and stuff like that are people that can't necessarily or they don't have much choices of income, you know, so they just go with what they can, but it's not a choice. But I'm pretty sure back in the day, like where you look in Abraham's family, those maids weren't worried about life, you know, they were living amongst people of wealth and substance and faith. So yeah, I definitely agree on everything that you're saying.
You mentioned about those types of maids. Now, this is where we get into another aspect of this, which is what they call concubines, right? Now, with concubines are like maids, right? However, in our nation, because they were not supposed to be poor among us. So guess what? Like if you're a wealthy man, Elijah, and there's this young lady up the street from you, guess what? You can take her into your house and she would be doing the duties of a daughter unto you, and you just to get her out of that state of poverty, so she can help her father, her family. You understand? With concubine, what happens is now you have men who are weaker in nature, that but you know when you overuse something too much, so they think that once it's a concubine, it's somebody you have to be lying with. No, a concubine is a way to when a woman is poor, you can take her into your palace or your mansion or fortress, whatever you have, and she do the service of a maid there. However, if she's absent husband and you want to marry her to one of your sons, you understand, you could give her to one of your sons and she would be but guess what, you as the father would be holding your son accountable, because if your son is abusing that, guess what, you would have to let her go free. You see what I'm saying? So this is the part of concubine where a lot of these religious institutions don't really teach that you don't have to have sex with them. You don't have to lie with them. You understand? It's just to help them out of the state of poverty. You 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 understand what I'm saying? Are you following what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not talking about the reproduction part. I'm talking about making the life easier for the family as far as, you know, raising the children and stuff like that. I didn't get into that part, but that part definitely worked out favorable for the women too. Because I'm pretty sure it's easier for two wives to run the house than one. Well, except for conflicts between them, you know.
Except for what? Conflicts?
Yeah, like if like personal situations where I'm sure if two women consent to being in a polygamous marriage, then they would understand that women emotions are something that they have to kind of work with. So they would have to work to grow and understand each other. Apart from that, I think it should be an easier system if a woman has help from another woman. I'm not saying it's necessary, but you know.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Speaking from the standpoint of polygyny, as I said, I don't believe that two of the same kind should occupy one habitat, one environment. You know, I believe that this woman A should have her house separate, and this woman because let me tell you something, and I'm speaking on behalf of jealousy now, but not the fake jealousy where women, act like they're jealous over the man's thing. That's a fake jealousy. Real jealousy is inheritance, and this goes back to what we were talking about a man having landed property. So you mentioned earlier about love. Love is not the feeling that we feel. Love is greater than feeling. Love is a purpose. So, like I said, if you have substance, Elijah, if you have certain lands, guess what? What your woman would be jealous about naturally. that you cannot invalidate is her jealousy over the inheritance, because she would have to secure the landed property for her son. That is a natural jealousy, and this is why you see, if you have a child and you're separated from the mother, the woman that you go with afterwards, naturally she will have a jealousy towards that woman, but she does not understand that it's not about the child. The jealousy is because of the inheritance, but she does not have the knowledge and understanding that the reason she has this baby mother problem is because the inheritance. You understand? So inheritance would be, like in the scripture where it says, if a man has two wives and one beloved and one hated, what was the quarrel about? The quarrel was about the jealousy was about the inheritance. Who is gonna get the inheritance? Because this is why the Most High gives us His judgment too. Because you might be saying, no, you and your child's mother separated decades ago. You are with this woman now. No, the inheritance still has to go to that woman. You see what I'm saying? So no woman that is separated from a man should be suffering in a certain way. You understand? So if we were teaching our daughters, or if parents are teaching the daughters that, hey, this is what you need to secure, you want to be with a man with inheritance, so at the end of the day, at least there is something substantial that you can bind your son with. So even if it's just a land for now, probably by the time your son comes up, he would only have to build a house. He doesn't have to go through the process of buying lands, which a lot of us are struggling with right now. You understand what I'm saying? So that thing was not secured. The purpose of getting into relationships are, why are you getting into relationships? A lot of people right now, they will talk to a man who, like a lot of women will talk to a man who is flashy, who have money, but never really care about, okay, does he have land? Yes, he has cash money. Maybe he's doing something or a good job, but he doesn't have land. He just has liquid cash. And they'll put that in the category of what they call high value man. Just because you have liquid cash does not make you high value. Yesterday you were nobody, today you have money, tomorrow you are high value. What the hell is that? But this is a picture that social media paint for these women, and most of these people, but dealing with the women now, most of them, social media is their therapist. You know what I mean? So all the little garbage social media push, you notice social media doesn't talk much about what we're talking about now, about the woman should secure inheritance. This is why I said earlier, if every time you separate from a woman, you would be losing an acre of your land, would you allow so many separations in your life? No, you would not. Because
But no, no,
yeah,
no.
go ahead.
But look, in today's society, that's what happens, right? Because a man that works his entire life gets into has his family, gets into a union, um, he can lose half of what he has, even if he's doing everything properly towards making the family work. And today, most of the marriages, not most, but a higher percentage of marriages that are being ended are ended because of um, women. And yes, I understand that everybody have them reasons and words and all of that stuff, but the union of a marriage shouldn't be based on feelings, as you said. Um, there's life that comes through it, and the life doesn't have a time limit on it where we should be like, yo, all right, this marriage isn't working, let's move on to another one. So, and even on the sense of women having an inheritance, today our women are more privy to having an inheritance than men. If my family is poor, women are the ones that are going to be able to get the little help that's there. You know what I mean? The men, we're going to be told to go out there and go get it done. And when we look at the scriptures, it's not so. In the scriptures, everybody got an inheritance. So um, we still kind of go by that nature, but everything is all twisted up, following doctrines of men.
I want to also say that I think from the very beginning, the intention was that the man was supposed to be the head of the household, which means that If the head is all confused and confounded, then the shoulders cannot function. Basically, I'm saying that the responsibilities on both sexes to be where they need to be spiritually, mentally, emotionally, to be able to contribute to a relationship. But the fact of the matter is, the vast majority of our men are not grounded. There is an identity crisis, not just on the men, but on the women as well. But I believe if men were secure, especially our black men are secure in who they are and living in accordance to what God designed them to live in terms of how God designed them to live, then women will have no choice but to fall in line. What has happened is, due to many circumstances and other things that's happened to our family structure, the men are not living up to their responsibilities, not just in the financial aspect of a relationship, but in terms of how to be a man. And so what I'm seeing is that a lot of women are taking that role out of necessity. And then now when they do come across the men that are truly high value, that are truly grounded, it takes some deconditioning of the mind, reprogramming of the mind, for them to come back down to their natural state as a woman. And I can speak for myself, I can speak for at least one of my friends who, due to how life has been, had to take on this kind of a masculine in essence because of her partner not being what he was supposed to be. Yeah, but that's it.
Valid points, and yeah, I do agree with men, and that's why the most I call Adam, even though the woman was the one that, that's why he called Adam, because the men should be in a certain order. And this is why you see, as Elijah was saying, what really happened there is they changed the concept of marriage, because the marriage that this modern world knows today is not the real marriage that nature defines. So for example, when you look at everything, the man would be like at say 40 years old. Then at that time, a man is more established in his mindset. He has grounded himself more. So guess what? It's easier for him to take a younger woman, because when you go back to the scriptures, what we call today teenagers don't exist. Once you get to a certain state of maturity where you're starting this maturing process, you don't go from a child to a teenager. You go to a young man or a young woman. And this is why I always tell my son, I've been telling my son 5 years ago that, hey, in 5 years time, you're going to be a young man. Your decisions are your own. The consequences, you're going to have to deal with them. His mother and I have been instilling that in him a long time. Now he's 11, so he knows that he has only 1 year. So guess what? We already start to put him on like what you call probation. So guess what? Things that we already taught him, he has to make decisions. Yes, he might come to us and we're going to say, hey, you know what we taught you already. Guess what? You have to make your own decision now and deal with the consequence. So even though we gave him until next year, he's already on that probation period right now. So how many of us allow our children to have voices? You see, we strip these responsibilities away from them. They, oh, you're not yet whatever. You're under my roof. No, that's what you call it. That's like you're conquering somebody. They has to do like the person is your slave. No, we allow him to make all the mistakes that he need to make from now. So probably by the time he gets to 16, he will have an understanding of what reality is about. So we have to go back to this structure, because they had changed the concept of marriage. And this is why what Elijah mentioned about what they did was they actually weaponized. Who is this, Grace? You're bridging there, Elijah. Shalom sword. We're talking about marriages today and the different concepts and so forth, right? So what the society did was they weaponized marriage even against the man. Unmute in the meantime, sword. I'm gonna give you a chance to speak, Charlie. What they did was, mute. Yeah, what they did was they weaponized marriage. This is why you see now a lot of the people with celebrities, they can go and marry a celebrity tonight, and then tomorrow they file for divorce just to claim certain things, as Elijah was talking about. Marriage was not so. They set up it for you to destroy a man's reputation, destroy everything. A man can build an empire, and he goes through that Roman wedding ceremonies, and then his empire gets torn down. This is why so many people are running away from marriages. More likely people who is established in their lives. So even if a woman is financially established to a certain point and the man is less fortunate, it's still going to be the same concept because they weaponize marriage. And then what they did now, they legalize things like polygamy without verbalizing it. Why is it that this society does not criminalize adultery? Why our kings, well, we don't have kings anymore, prime ministers, presidents, whatever titles they hold, why they don't criminalize adultery? Because all of this is a plot against the Most High. They know exactly what they're doing. So what they do now, they have these people saying, oh, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend, and then in their heads, whether they're in the churches or out of the churches, in their heads they're saying, as long as this man does not put a ring on my finger, or as long as I'm not married to this woman, there's certain levels I'm not going to go to. It means that I'm not going to trust you enough to invest into a business idea with you. And it's the same. And the woman is going to say, until he marries me, I'm not going to take him serious. So then, no, guess what? You start toying around entertaining other people and you're going into adultery. Whether you're, like I said, whether you're under the Bible's belief system or you're under this, it's going to be the same thing. You're supporting the same beast. All of this goes again and prone to deception, right? Parents feel like restricting their children keep them safe. On the contrary, it keeps them ignorant. Yes, it makes them naive. And that's why we are growing up the same way we are growing right now. You'll have your daughter very educated, very intelligent, bookwork wise, right? And you'll see when you find out the man that's rapping, messing around her head is a little guy in the street that has heart that can hardly read. How is this possible? That naivety, that's the word, naivety, being naive. That's what's happened. How is it that you're so educated and this little man out there that is just messing with you and you can't get away from it? So we have to come back to how the home is to be established. Stop telling your daughters, oh, you have to be 18, you have to finish college before you can. No. If you see that your daughter likes this guy over here, what should you do? You get the guy, come over to your house, you set, meals, everything, you discuss certain things. So you're also help laying the foundation of that relationship. And if you have money, you can sometimes let them go on dates. So you say, okay, I'm going to drop you off at the movies. Your dad and I, we will be around the corner here. When the movie is finished, we come and pick you guys up. So you're nurturing them in the feeling of intimacy. So guess what? They're not growing with that void, that curiosity to want to know what it feels like. This is the reason why a lot of these children stray. The curiosity, the urge is building up because a lot of you are still seeing your cycle. So the emotional state changes you go through at ovulation. You think because they are 12, 13, 14, 15, they don't go through the same swinging of mood changes up and everything. The next thing is, how many of you got beaten for going with guys in that age group when you were 15, 16, 14? How many of you now have to be beating your daughter or talking down to your daughter for the same thing? It is instinctual. It is within your nature. This is why the scripture says, if the man is uncomely towards his virgin, his young woman, because once you pass the flower of your age, you start seeing your cycle, you now become a young woman. Not when you're 18, not when you finish university, not when you... No. So society has played on the minds of these people. And this is why I said earlier, men and women are protecting their daughters, but they have no clue what they're protecting their daughters from. So by the time you shadow your daughter in the home, she goes out into the working field, she becomes like a everybody's toy. She's naive. She gets this first experience. It messes with her mind. She now wants more. She doesn't know how to deal with the desire, the urges, and she's just like everybody's toy and the property that she's working for. All these women you see out there, these 40-year-old women on YouTube talking this madness, they were once virgins too. A lot of you guys were shadowed, not under wisdom, not under the umbrella of wisdom. The scripture says if they cannot contain. So if you promise your daughter is say 14, you promise your daughter to this man's house over there. Guess what? You're there to see them building the relationship. And if they cannot contain, if they cannot contain themselves, then they can go ahead. There's no sin in doing that. But society told you that she had to be 18 years old. And you see what happens? Look at the young women out there in their 20s now. Oh, I'm living my best life. I'm not ready to settle down. I'm not ready for marriage. I'm not ready for a home. I'm not ready for investment. They go through all these phases from age 20 to 29 or 18 to 29. That's the party phase. They get so addicted to that state where when it's time to be mothers, guess what? They want to go back to that state of life. When you observe the animals, I raise goats, cow, right? With the goats, it doesn't matter how wild you see this female goat is. You see, the moment that goat breeds, is a whole different being, and it should be the same for women. I've seen a friend, his wife, pregnant at ATI. What are you do? Look, you're pregnant now. It means the ATI, those dream weekends, it means that no longer exists. You bear now a new title. You bear the title of a mother. So those lives, those stages that they're past, whether you enjoy them or not, it's past. When you're a child, you do childish things. Now you're grown, you do things that grown folks do. It's just like you see a lot of men at certain ages up in the club, like frequently. I understand if you go one night, once in a year, once in a 6 months or whatever with your boys to just go and have a drink and you go back home, right? But if you're there every week at a certain age, brother, something's not right. Maybe all your friends are married and you can't call them anymore. So you want a younger woman that can keep that part of you alive to remind you, let you think that you're still young. All of your friends are married. They are home with their wives. So fun for you guys now going to be, okay, this Sunday we're going to go fishing. Next month we're going to go golfing. You see what I'm saying? Your maturity stages, your maturity changes. So your fun and leisure and all of those, they change. It's no longer going to the clubs at age 40, 45, 50 and so forth. You can't go there frequently like you did when you were in your 20s. So there's a growth process that is not nurtured into the minds of these souls, the young people, and is a cycle keep repeating. Just look at the people in their 40s now, right? And look at the ones in their 20s. And look at the ones in their 30s. It's the same road they're going down. And even when you look at the younger females now, what they call the teenagers, you can see where they're going to head towards that life. Because as you mentioned earlier about the men in the home, the men are not grounded in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So they cannot lead a home. And this is why when you get into the polygamy, it's problematic. Because if you do not know how to lead your first wife, you are not in a position to be thinking about another woman. You see, all things are lawful, but it doesn't mean it's expedient. Sword, you want to say something? Because I was just going on.
Yes.
Okay, let me turn off and you can go ahead and speak. Go ahead.
Yes. Today, marriage is dying. Yeah. It's become an exploitation. It's finance. It's all about financial gains today. Can't disagree on that. And today I wouldn't advise a man to get married today. No, marriage is of great vital importance. If you don't, marriage is a part of a life. It is a part of a life. You know what I mean? It's integral to a life or indelible to a life. Marriage is. But today you cannot advise anyone to get married because because the government is tied to the government and the government wants to share assets unjustly. You know what I mean? The government want come in your life and share your asset and tell you how to do with your house and divide all your things. It's a very unjust thing. Because imagine alimony. You're going to pay a wife that commit adultery. You're going to pay her every month with another man. The judgment is so unfair that the judges don't think that it's going to flick on next person. That's a hurtful thing. So I wouldn't advise no man and your children. It's like men don't really own their children. You get divorced, the children go, and next man also take care of it. You know what I mean? It's gone at a weaker party. The weaker party is not a protective force to protect your children, them. So I wouldn't advise no one at this time until the Almighty make changes within earth to get married. Because to get married today, you know what I mean, it's to put your life at risk, to be honest. Now, when it comes down to regulations and marriage, I heard you said something that I softly disagreed. is that having my daughter and my and a son of the next person go to movies together. It's not like so. A marriage agreement, a contract must be signed. We all, both party family should sit down, and we should, if his son, if that person's son is interested in my daughter should be and remain a virgin. No man should touch my daughter. No man. So I'm not gonna keep my daughter my eyes off my daughter, because her life also ties to her virginity, according to the laws of the Almighty. So I can't take my eyes off of my daughter at all. She have in my yard every single time. She's my property, and I'm the one give her away. This is how it is, according to the laws of the Almighty. Now, the marriage agreement should be between two families. The state shouldn't be involved. And I should guarantee that my daughter a virgin. And when me hand her over to you, there are some rules that she has to follow. She has to be submissive to you all the time. But I must identify that this man is a God-fearing, a life-fearing man that see to fear, revere, and love the Almighty perpetually. As a father, he must be able to well take care of my daughter. You know what I mean? And the children that she produced to give to them. And we a family, we can sit down and talk. And we can look over the agreement. And then if we agree, we can sign the agreement. But first, I'm going to ask my daughter now. Because my daughter going to sit there and present. And ask her, say, do you want to go with that person? Just in case that, you know what I mean? And if she said yes, I'm saying, if you agree with this, you have to stay with him forever, you know. You got to stay with him forever. And you got to do your wifely duties. You understand me? And both parties can sign, you know, exchange contract and sign them. And we put them with us. And as father, you know, I tell him mother if I sign him mother, the first time they go lie together, then go down a room, I sign him mother to sit out the door. Both mothers can sit out the door because fathers sometimes don't want to even hear this, but we go there as well. And when them men do the intercourse, the token, we go need the token as evidence that she a virgin. And we keep that as parents. That means that no man can come talk no foolish about my daughter. Because if we get beaten, the whole city can beat him for that. Because I spread fasting for my daughter. And my daughter can lose her life if you spread false word. And this is the concept that the Almighty want, because the Almighty doesn't want whoredom within the earth, because it's an unclean thing. And whoredom will produce diseases within our realm of life. You know, you grow curse in our realm of life.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, me agree with the whole thing we just said, but we not to put that aside because the Most High word is not void. We know we live in a culture right now where saving the tokens of the virginity is not something that would be reverenced based on the time period, because it's not like a man don't come and pay 50 shekels of silver, whatever it's worth in today's currency, if the daughter if he brings a false report. So even if you want to do it, it would be more like a preference, but not like back in the ancient culture where that man can be stoned for bringing up a false report against your daughter, you know. And as we mentioned about no whores should be among the daughters of Zion, the scripture also talks about that. And one of the things that I talked about this last time, one of the things that a lot of parents do to create that whoredom, but they don't realize it. That's why I said, when you're protecting or shadowing your daughter, what are you shadowing your daughter from? Is really the men in the village. So what happens if your daughter finds this man attractive and wants to be with that man, but you are against it as a parent, so you are doing everything in your power to stop it? No, guess what? She's going to think in her mind, there has to be something good about this, why my parents is fighting so much against it. So you know what happens? This is where a lot of you females pick out your windows at 3 o'clock at night, midnight. Huh?
Yeah, want something, brother?
Yeah, go ahead.
Brother, this is the system that we're heading towards, because this system that we currently have, it's chaotic. As I said earlier, and before I start, you know, is that marriage is dying today. If you go on social media, it's what everyone's talking about. Males don't want to get married to women no more here.
All right. Let me just address something sort, because Empress says this, that's a false idea of marriage, not in the Roman sense. So when we say marriage, right? Because what you're talking about, I think you're talking about the Roman wedding ceremonies where they put on the ring and sign the papers. That I don't consider that as marriage. So if you're speaking from the context that we're speaking, meaning sex is marriage, what I mean is sex is marriage is that I don't mean that you just go out there and just lie with a woman and then that's marriage. What I'm saying is when two families come to an agreement and you promise your daughter to that family, right? That you have that covenant. You see, once your daughter and that man lie together, that sex is considered the marriage. That is where the consummation is. So you can write a covenant with a man and your daughter. Hold on. You can write a covenant with a man and your daughter, but guess what? You can also give your daughter to another man because she has not yet lied with that man. You remember Samson? There was a covenant with one of Samson's wife, but he was busy doing whatever, and the father thought that he didn't like the woman, so he gave her to another companion of Samson. There was no adultery in that. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, you know one time, Jacob married the daughters of Laban, and then he stole away with them, and then they made an agreement, and the agreement was with stone. They made stone and said, "You not pass this way," and so, there was other agreement. So the agreement that we have is binding. Plus, there are stipulation for breaking these agreements that are listed. So the agreement is like a memorandum of the duties my daughters are supposed to perform and the duties of what that man is supposed to perform and the duties if they walk out of the contract, which is the contract is going to be based on the constitution of the Bible or the words of the Almighty, right? So mankind is not the ones to dictate what the form of marriage is. It's the Almighty. So what's going to be binding in this contract is the roles of males and the roles of females. Right? And if my daughters were to commit adultery, the penalties or the judgments of the Almighty is also going to be within that. You get my set here? And you know what I mean? The duties that she must perform, because divorce is not acceptable in Israel. It is last resort, and when it's become life-threatening. So all these things are going to be outlined also in the agreement based on the commandments of the Almighty. And they should be educated on these policies. This is something that should be there, because if she divorced, right, and because of certain reasons, and then she get married and then she divorce again, she's no more good after that, the last divorce. And these things would be also in the data system. That means he could follow her for all, but that means man should know that woman have married 2 times, she's unclean. Because we can't afford whoredom to spend in our society. There has to be repercussions. So if my daughters know that she can't go play whoredom, because the affliction would be the whole city would come and stone her till she become unalive. My daughter won't go through the window, because also the schools will be educating them of these policies. And these things will reduce HIV, all sexual diseases will come out of the earth with that. Even violence will come out of the earth with these things. So you have to understand, say, there's for every action, there's a reaction. And the commandments and this judgment of the Almighty would help the people them from not sinning. So my daughter won't steal out. And the reason why there's a certain time span for my daughter to go outside is maturity. Maturity, if I want my daughter to get married at 21 or 20, is because I'm waiting to see her be mature to be a mother, where I don't see immature behaviors. Because immature mother can produce, children that are not, she's incapable to be a teacher, because women are supposed to be mothers, teachers, nurse, and wife. And these are obligatory things that they should be educated with and perform within the household, because this is, to be, men are supposed to be soldiers.
Yeah.
You understand me? So this is what men are supposed to be trained in, soldiers of the Almighty. And this is how your meals are supposed to be. So if one man want to come for my daughter, my office say I'm a soldier of the Almighty. And speak like one, walk like one. I listen for one soldier of the Almighty all the time. You know what I mean? Prioritize the Almighty.
Right. That's true, because a man has to be remade in the image, because we are really bearing the image of the serpent. So a man has to be remade in the image of the Most High, where he can lead the daughter, because he's an image bearer. He can now lead with the image inside of him, the reputation.
Yeah.
Right. There are 2 questions on the board for you, and I did have a question for you. So she says, Sword, what do you think are grounds for a divorce? That's something that I wanted to talk to you about because we know that divorce is legal based on man's heart because you can sign a covenant, but doesn't mean that the person will follow through. So your second question is, under what situations do you think a woman should leave a marriage, which you mentioned earlier about certain states, but you can go ahead and expound on these two questions. Go ahead.
So life threatening, I'll say life threatening, anything life threatening. So if a man walks contrary to the commandments of the Almighty, that would be grounds for breaking of the contract. He has broken the covenant. I mean, he's unstable. So anything life threatening where it's danger to your life, that's ground for divorce. And this should be, if there's such a thing that happening where the woman is being afflicted or mistreated, then we as fathers should call the other party and all of us sit down and talk about what's going on the breaking of the contract. Why is my daughter is being afflicted? You understand? She has life, she has feelings. And then this right now, penalties will be there if a man is not fulfilling his side of the contract because she's also alive. We cannot mistreat females at all. It's never going to be something that is accepted, ever.
Okay, so further to that, before you move to the other question, because you said it, once it's a situation that is life-threatening. Now, there are cases where the situation is not life-threatening, but there is still abuse. There's still pain being inflicted upon the women, and I know that there's a lot of hidden things happening behind closed doors that you're not seeing the marks of it. You're not hearing beatings or what have you, but there is disrespect, there is mental abuse, emotional abuse, all other things that cannot be detected on the surface. Right now, under what circumstances? Because you're a father of a daughter, so I should think that you would have a certain perspective on that. Because staying together with someone forever and ever, even regardless of whatever it is, if they don't abuse you physically, is no different from what the church encourages right now for people in relationships that are not working, that for whatever reasons, whether the woman is not doing what she's supposed to do or the man is not doing what he was supposed to do, but for the optics of it all, to stay together regardless, because him not beat you, him not do this, him not doing that. So what would you say for a situation if your daughter ends up in a situation where he's not physically abusive, he's doing what he should do as a husband, he's taking care of her financially and everything else, but then he is abusing her in other ways?
Could you describe the abuse that he would be abusing the woman, please? Because I understand that 70 to 85% of divorce currently is initiated by the female. Sometimes, a part of life, the Almighty has stated that he's long-suffering. And to truly express love, you cannot express love without being long-suffering.
Yes, but there also needs to be boundaries.
No. I agree. But if we indicated that the female is not expressing long-suffering, the man is doing all the area, he's completing all the tasks in every area, we would require our daughter to be long-suffering in that situation. Because, hold on. Marriage is not just on a paper, The agreement is not the paper, You see, once there's sexual intercourse, you have tied each other together because the DNAs have swapped. You have become one flesh.
We understand
you have produced life together. You have produced this life together. Now, if there are traumatic events, like verbal demeanor abuse, calling her names that she's not, then yes, that could initiate some divorce if the Almighty sees that that's a judgment that's supposed to be done according to the verbal abuse. Like you're calling her a prostitute and she's not, and we have the tokens to see that she's not a prostitute, then, and she has never committed adultery, right? That man would get what should be handed down to him by the Almighty.
All right, so you asked me a question. Let me address it, because you said, what would I consider to be verbal abuse or whatever abuse? Understand that in relationships, abuse comes in different ways. He doesn't even have to be saying to her, you're a prostitute or you're whatever. He doesn't need to be calling her outside of her name. Narcissists have a way of operating that would seem as though on the surface, especially if you're a covert narcissist, it will seem on the surface as to not be detrimental, but it does chip away at the psyche. Now, you mentioned that when you sign her, when you have come to the agreement with the father of the other party and they have decided that they're going to consummate the marriage, then barring certain parameters, then she should be long suffering, according to what you're saying. But long suffering according to whose perspective? Because everybody has a different measure of patience that they're able to undertake, and in a relationship there you can be long suffering, and you being long suffering only allows that person to further push your boundaries. So when you're saying that you're expecting your daughter to be long suffering regardless of what happens if he's not abusing her physically, mental abuse and emotional abuse comes in different formats. I've dealt with narcissists, and I've known people who deals with narcissists, and they are so how do I say it, good at what they do, that even on the outside, those who are on the outside would never suspect that that person is being abused by that person because they are such an upstanding citizen. So when do you draw the line, and who do you
I want you to give me an example of what you call a narcissist or a mental and emotional abuse. I want you to give me an example, please. So I could then, see if that's should be something that invoked as for divorce to break up children's life I want to see if that is grounds for divorce, because I don't think you know the ramification of divorce. Divorce is a devastating thing, it's destroying lives,
Yes, it is. And
because so long suffering, the Almighty is long suffering. That means therefore we should be long suffering. And if you're studying what long suffering is, right, is a core part of love.
Yes, but
It is
it's
a
not a
core. It is a
one-sided
core
thing.
example
You have to understand
of
that.
showing what love is.
It's not how.
No one should be. What should I say? Intentionally being mentally and verbally or emotionally abusive to a person. If a person is unaware of it, right? Then it's not intentional. And if you have a man who would come to you, and express love, babe, I didn't see this. I didn't see that I was doing you such a harm. You know what I mean? I'm talking about a good person, not seeing. Divorce is not something that comes off the tongue. This is why the Almighty don't give the woman the grounds for divorce. The rights is not there for her. It's in the man corner to see when to give a woman a divorce. It's only one person should initiate this thing, because women are emotional persons. What the woman can do is complain to her father, right? And her father must look into it as a man, because you have to understand, a father cannot override a king, because he have to see that man that has his daughter as a king and has a rule over in his house. And he has no grounds to go in his house to do that unless he breaks the laws of life, the laws of the Almighty. He's going against life. And when he goes against life, that's when he has the whole officer, the whole community with him to go into with grounds to go take his daughter out of the house, because his daughter is his property. You understand me? But if that man is a soldier, a divine soldier of the Almighty, the father has no right to go in his home. He has to stick to the contract and to his vow. No, you have to show me where is the emotional or the abuse where it's against life, because the laws, you can't destroy life because lives because you have some emotional problem.
Excuse me, Sword. Let me say something. Are you aware of what you call narcissistic experiences? Have you ever experienced a relationship with a narcissist of any kind?
Yes, I think my ex-wife is one though.
You think? Because
Yeah.
if your ex-wife is a narcissist, you're gonna know for sure. There's no thought. You're gonna know for sure. So was she or was she not? Because I was with a covert narcissist, so I understand her question, but I was just leaving you because she directed the question to you. But it's like you keep jumping around, like she says, emotional abuse, right? So yes, we understand the contract no adultery, no such and such. We understand that, fulfilling the roles, because she says yes, because these people are providers. These people will give you all the attention. These people will shower you with all the so-called love in the world. But there's a psychological thing that they do that tears down your view of your own self. So that's the concept I think that she is referring to, that you're not seeing it.
So what is it?
So if your daughter, hold on, so if your daughter comes and she's showing you all the things that this man is doing, what would you do about the situation?
No,
Like,
you have to be more clear.
for example, all right. For example, when your daughter is in public, he shows her the world of affection. You understand? But behind closed doors, he talks down on her. He uses things to make she question her own reality. You understand what I'm saying? Things of that nature, because she's losing piece of her each time over a long process of time. So in that case, where you know where the out, since you said you are aware of narcissist, you know the outcome of that thing, that your daughter is gonna lose herself. At what point do you draw the line? I think that's what Empress is what she wants to get to. What point you draw the line as a father, because you have the right to disannul the marriage, right? As a father.
No, hold on. Yeah, I will not agree with any abuse to my daughter, right? But you also have to understand what's life-threatening or demeaning life. So when I speak, I can't, like, for instance, if whenever time if my daughter come to me, right, and when we look in at the argument, it's like it's her thinking what
Beg your second, Sword, beg your second. Let me just welcome this person. Welcome, God of Heart. I think you're familiar with what we're talking about. So Sword is now speaking, so you can just mute your microphone until your time to speak. All right? Yeah, go ahead, Sword.
I was
yes. If I listen to the argument, and when I look at the argument, what my daughter is saying is not even a harm to her, or it makes sense in what the men was.
But hold on, Sword. Stay within the same experience that I just explained to you. Say that is the actual experience of your daughter. Judge that situation, the same one that I just explained. I want you to judge that experience, if that was the experience of your daughter. Not if it was otherwise. The same experience I want you to judge. How would you rule over
My
that?
daughter is righteous. If my daughter is a righteous woman, she's good, right? I wouldn't want no abuse for her. There shouldn't be no abuse for my daughter, and it would go against the contract, and that the marriage would be annulled. If she is a righteous woman, if everything that I see, she's righteous, and a man also can identify that my daughter is righteous, but yet he treats her with hatred, right? And my daughter complain about how she's being treated with hatred, right? You have to look at it. I don't want to make judgment give me. You understand me? Because the Almighty even showed you that a man would have a wife that he hates or didn't love that much. You know what I mean? So you have to look at some things. Like, you can't make judgment without the Almighty. It's not something that man should do to hate a woman, but you cannot initiate it.
But his judgment would already be in his word, right? So when you say look at judgment without the Almighty, we are not looking, because we already have the word. So we're going to judge from the word. This is why she's asking you what she's asking you. If you are the king of Israel, and a woman presents this case to you that I'm presenting you now, or that she's presenting to you, how would you rule that matter as a king? Because as a king, you rule with the wisdom of the highest, right? So the people come before you, and for you to rule over this matter, because you mentioned about if your daughter is righteous, but what if is another woman that is not as righteous as your daughter? The woman is not committing adultery against her husband, but she might not be following the law 100% like your daughter. But would you change your judgment because she's not as righteous as your daughter? What would the case be? How would you rule over that matter? Would it be the same for the righteous and the unrighteous, or it's two separate laws for the two people, whoever you call unrighteous? Okay, God of Heart. What were you saying? Oh, God of Heart. I think sword is out for a second.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. Yeah. Did you hear what I say?
Yeah, I heard what you said. But I'm
Oh,
saying,
okay.
speaking of Israel, I'm not in the place to make judgments for my nation. I am in the place to enforce the judgment that come from the Almighty, to oversee that the laws are being done. Every man is a king. That's why he's kings of kings, because every man a king. Like the laws of the Almighty is that every house should build like a castle, basically, because every house have to have a battlement. This is the law. So every individual house in having our suburbs must be built like a castle. That means that every man I want king. And if I were to make judgment, I would infringe on a man's territorial integrity, his divine sovereignty, his God-given sovereignty, and make him a slave, my slave. I'm not in a position to make law for a man. The Almighty is who make laws for every man. That's why every man should look at the current politicians as slave masters, because they're making laws for you, and they could take away your freedoms because your freedoms are in their hands. The Almighty is who have the freedom for every man. Every man should see that no man make law for them, or the Almighty make law for them, because we're all children of life. But as I said, I am not in the position to make judgment like that, because I would create a catastrophe. You don't want man make law for you or judgment, because man can be selfish for their children.
Ask you to rule over a matter. I'm not asking you to rule over the matter with your own heart. I'm asking you to
rule the judgments of the Almighty, to look if my daughter is in the right to get divorced. If my daughter's life is not at risk, she still has to see that the husband is the king. Because the Almighty never mentioned the word queen yet. Eve never invented that word. You don't want you want the woman to be dependent, but must be respectful. You want to make sure that that man is verbally right with your daughter. He speak like a good God-fearing man at all times. And if that man is a good God-fearing man, not sleeping up with God, he should be a perfect husband. If that man is displaying actions of not a good God-fearing man, I think the father has the right to receive back his daughter. And he could stipulate this within the contract, that his daughter should succumb to no physical, verbal, emotional abuse ever. But it also have to be to respect that that man is a king. He has the right to rule within his territory, to set rules within his territory, boundaries within his territory. And the wife must behave submissive. As long as the female is not being abused physically or emotionally, right? Or being treated less than what the Almighty had put in her duty, right? Then she's okay. She's okay. As long as the man stay within the realms of the Almighty law, he's a person.
Okay, I understand your viewpoint on the matter. Now, Empress, do you have any questions or anything you'd like to say?
I think I did all I needed to deduce from the many words that were spoken.
All our sons must be soldiers of the Almighty. Divine, perfect, forged soldiers, well disciplined, to take care of one of the most precious treasures that there's nothing more special to us than the female within earth. There are no one no more important that the Almighty create more important than the female in earth to us. They must be treated with love and respect forever. But women must respect men. They must respect the kingdom of the earth.
This is going to go back to the natural order that we talk about when I say, okay, if your daughter is in your house, she would naturally, how she would serve her father is by being a maid. So for example, when it's time for you to milk your goats, she knows how to do all of these things. When you ask for bread or meat, she knows how to prepare. She's under that protection and provision. So the only thing changes now is where, like with Adam and Eve, where the Most High says he take the rib from among men, from among her father's house, and she brought her to the man. So now she becomes his wife. That's where the word ish, what they call ish in Hebrew, that's where the word wife comes in the English language. But it's really, you become the possession. So it's his wife. Like you can say, this is this is a phone, but no, it belongs to me. It's my phone. It becomes the possession. So this is why earlier it says, a wife is a possession. If a man that gets a wife gets a great possession, because when you look at it in the context of a landed property, you have to conquer the land, not through wars though. When you're looking in the contrast of the woman, it's not, you're not going to conquer the woman like the Greeks, how they would do. You conquer through war to say, oh, I'm more macho, or no, not in that context. But you know, you're grounded in your principles, your standard, your morals, all of these things. That's how you conquer the woman intellectually. You understand? So you're speaking all these wisdom. You're being active in her life. And when you go back to like I said, the observation process, right? When you go back to the guy that worked 7 years, let me just welcome this brother. Welcome, Barack. Just mute your microphone in the meantime, then you'll get a chance to speak. When you go back to Jacob working 7 years to get the woman as the reward, right? What he's actually doing, he's actually learning the woman by observation. So if you're around that woman that you want, right, you're gonna be learning her through observations. You're seeing the behaviors, you're seeing everything. So over a process of time, you're going to know her inside out before you even lie with her. You see what I'm saying? So this is the part that the modern date skips out. This is the part that the modern dating thing skips out. That you don't get to know a person through observation, because the thing about being around a person is, you know what? Two energies come together. The man being active in her life, and she naturally becomes passive in that man's life. So it's a balance in energy between masculine and feminine. So that's the good thing about being around the person before you lie. Yes, brother, go ahead. What you're saying? Yeah, you just joined, but you came off the line, Barack. Right. So, Sword, you understand what I was just explaining about the observation and being around the person? You combining the masculine and the feminine energy. So why you see like what they do with the online dating right now is so difficult, because guess what? You can be wherever you want talking to a woman on the phone. That's not impacting her consciousness. You telling is like delegating. You're just telling her, okay, do this now, do that. That's not doing anything to her internally. It's about how active you are in her life. Okay, she's so accustomed, like we talk about this society that we're living in now. She's so accustomed to getting things done, as Empress mentioned earlier. She's doing all these things for herself. So she's going to be in that element just the same. But when you're around her, as soon as she's about to do this, she realizes that, oh, it's already done. So her brain subconsciously is learning that, okay, you can take a step back. You can trust this man. But if you're not in her life like that, how can she trust you? Even if she wants to trust you, she desires to trust you. She grew up in that environment, but the way life has changed her outlook on relationships, it's not even in her willpower to trust you, even if she really wants to. Have you met women like this? She really wants to trust you, but her brain itself is on a whole other program. You change that by being around the person physically. You have to be active in her life. Oh, she's gonna do this, you get it done. Yeah, go ahead, Sword.
The way you're speaking, right? You're basically, you put the female in a predicament where she start to collect a lot of bodies. Man and female are compatible. The choices can be if you don't want a fat one or you don't want a slim one. That's the difference. That's the only thing I could think that you're there. It's not, the woman is not supposed to go out there to choose the man. It's the man that chooses the woman. Two different things right there, no? The woman is supposed to go out there and hunt, because she may find one man that don't like her but to sleep with her and defile her. So that would be a chain of harlotry that come in within our society.
Excuse me, can we just recheck a little bit back when you said I put the woman in that predicament? Can you elaborate a little bit more?
So when you're saying that, you know, the female, you look on a woman and all these things, you want the woman to always be a woman. There's 3 things woman must cover, 4 things woman must cover. Being a mother, right? Knowing how to be a mother, knowing how to be a nurse. No, because all these things gonna make her into a wife, right? These things are important. Being a teacher, well educated, right? To teach her children, knowing the true processes of life, know when her son is supposed to be around the father in the area where the father work, right? Know when the daughters are supposed to be around her, totally going up. These are essential things that woman must like. These are things that all women should be educated with at all times, forged with in these areas, because mandatory. These are the direction women are go. Basically, men must be God-fearing soldiers. These things cover everything, protection. So it's obligatory for all males to be soldiers of the Almighty, educated about the Almighty, very versed on known skill in all areas and the requirements that the Almighty need. Men must do these things. You see, you don't want woman choose man. It has to be men choose woman. And then fathers will ask, do you want to go with this man?
Let me just ask, but how did you get to that point that you're making now? Because I never mentioned anything about the woman being out there like that. So how did you get to that point? Or how did you take that from what I said?
I feel
No.
like when you speak, the female is independent. And when
No.
a female is independent, perhaps I'm wrong.
Okay, let me clear, because we don't want to deal with the feelings, because we're here talking directly. But
I don't about feel. I know woman should be independent.
All right. So what I said was I used Jacob's experience to say he worked 7 years for the father. So while if a man comes to work for you, if you have a garage and I come to work for you, naturally I'm gonna see, okay, how your daughter brings you lunch during when it's time for you to eat, how she check up on you to give you water when you're thirsty, I'm naturally seeing the characters and the roles of a wife already. So when she's young in your house, that's natural. As you said, she's a nurse, she's a teacher, she's a wife. So she's learning that. So naturally the way she takes care of you as her father, which you are protecting and providing her. The only thing changed is now that she belongs to me, I'm just going to move her from one protection and one provision, but her roles will continue to be the same. So guess what? She's still going to milk my goats. She's still going to, if my cow is wounded or whatever is wounded, she's still going to take care of them. She's still going to water the garden, the same things that she was doing for you. Nothing changed. So I don't know how you are. Don't speak from feelings, speak from the experiences that we're referring to.
I think it's both ways, because I also think that the father of Laban was also observing that Israel was with the Almighty, so it was to give his daughters to him. It would be better than give his daughter to anybody else also, because he was family. So it's best to give him his daughters, which would be in a safe place, because fathers must observe men that they give their daughters to see if they're in good position, if they're in good hands. Fathers must properly vet men that their daughters are going to.
Which goes back to what we started with by saying that when we talk about marriage, it's an agreement between two families. So you know the family already, you know the history of that family, they know and vice versa. So we're speaking along that line. So Laban would know Rachel, they would know how they grow up and everything. So that's what I'm saying. When we are shadowing the children today, right? When you're shadowing them from the men in the community, when they go out in the working world, now she's 18, she steps out to get a job. Who protects her out there? She doesn't know anything about man. She doesn't know when man come and start doing nice things for her, or what she can turn down and not turn. She does not know anything. She's never experienced that. So what type of life you think she's going to live out there in the working field? Yeah, go ahead, Empress. Go ahead, Empress. Hold on, Soul. Go ahead, Empress.
I want to speak from a female's perspective and from what I've experienced and what I've observed of my peers. Now, I was raised differently from most of my peers. I was raised with a level of independence where I was taught how to be an adult from before I was deemed at the appropriate age. And so I was taught how to make my own decisions. I was given certain freedoms that a lot of females my age was not getting. In other words, I was allowed to make decisions. I was allowed to go on dates. The stipulation was that my parents had to meet these individuals and know these individuals, but they did not intervene in any way about my decisions. I didn't date anybody my age. So when I was a teenager, I was dating people in their 20s, in their 30s, right? Because I was raised differently. No, on the contrary, my peers in high school, when I was going through high school, no one knew the kind of life I was living. They didn't know that I was not as sheltered as some of them because I didn't go to school and talk my business. However, those who were kept under lock and key, they don't have to break down the window to go outside in the night. No, 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 no. They put on their uniform and they leave out saying they're going to school. And they stop wherever they need to stop to them boyfriend yard or whatever. And them do what they're doing. And I've seen countless females getting pregnant early, getting hurt. And then I've seen those who are so sheltered that they were so scared to venture out and date anybody that the minute they entered into the working world, and I've seen this in the call center, that's where it happens a lot. The minute they enter into the working world and they're now outside of the scope of their parents' control, it's as if they've been waiting. You know, like when you have a raging bull and you tie him up and him let go and him just gone free. Yeah, it's just like that. So when men now approach these girls, remember, they were not taught about relationships, which I think parents should do. They should teach. My father taught me what to expect in a relationship. He taught me what to expect in the dating world, and I was in grade 7. He taught me how to handle myself as a young woman. He taught me what it is when you're drinking your liquor, everything. He taught me all. He didn't say, oh, I don't want you to date nobody. You need to not go anywhere. He did not do that because otherwise I would probably end up like a lot of my peers. So what I'm saying is for women especially, because boys will be boys and boys are going to follow their nature. But for girls especially, when they are too restricted, when they do get the chance, believe me, you don't have to wait. They don't have to break out of your house. They just have to put on them clothes. Say they're going to church, going to them auntie, going to school.
All right. So I want to say something.
Okay.
I don't want to come in here and make laws for anybody. I want to speak about the design of the female and the design of the male, the road that they're supposed to take, the mandatory road that is designed by the Almighty. No, women must not be independent where you send them out to go get jobs. This right here will emasculate your female. And then if you emasculate a female, you're going to have domestic argument, fights within your household. This is guaranteed. This is what you have today. You have women who are free to go out in the workforce and who, go into jobs. What you have done, you have made her no more feminine. You have given her a voice to speak over her husband, the king in the house. This is what you have done, right? And you have created a partnership. And that's not a marriage. So then you start to have arguments. You want to go this direction. She want to go different direction. You want to go different direction. And then you have to come to terms that, you know what, let's divorce. And this will grow, having women to become more defilous because men going to start experimenting with them, sleep with them, then leave them, then do all these things. This is why you have this chaotic thing in marriage today, which is dying. Now, the female must remain in her father's house. And you could educate her why. It is to protect her. Today, we have the female, we let her out free today. Man sleep with her so she can pay her rent, right? This is what they're going on today now. She has struggled with her children. She end up to become single mother. She has different fathers for her children, right? She has got through a whole heap of problem today. A lot of stresses on the female today because that's how we let them out. We're free for the way they want.
Excuse me, Sword. She said you're not addressing what she just said, and she also says a woman can have jobs and still play their role as a wife, which I was gonna touch on that too, but she mentioned it. So how would you address? What I would like you to do, Sword, when she speaks or when I speak, I would like that you continue on what we're trying to build. You know, like laying building blocks rather than just switch to another foundation. So she says a woman can have jobs and still play their role as a wife. What are your thoughts on that? Because you mentioned about women going into the working world.
The way the system is supposed to set, the woman should work for her husband. Totally. No work. Her husband, our boss, our husband, our king. She work for her husband. She's supposed to work. She's not supposed to go work for a next man company, because in there you open to adultery.
So let me cut you a little bit. One second. Sword, 1 second. What I'm saying is that she says a woman can have jobs and still play their role as a wife. I don't want you to go aside to supposed to what they're supposed to do. I want you to just stay within the confinements of what she said. A woman can have jobs. So, what do you think about does a woman working really should alter her state of mind or the role in relationship? The thing that you taught your daughter from childhood, now that she goes out and get a job, should that affect her role
Yes,
as a wife?
it will severely affect her role as a
How? Go ahead.
I said earlier on, woman should be mother, teacher, nurse, and wife, and her duty is supposed to be a teacher to her children in the household. You know what I mean? Be a wife, serve her husband. You know what I mean? Be a nurse, tend to the wounds of her husband, which is a soldier. And tend to the children.
Okay. Let me just say something then. I don't think and
That's
this
her,
is where
her profession. That's her
yeah, but
profession.
that's her profession. So what I'm saying is, now that she gets a job, she still knows how to tend to the man. She still know how to prepare the food for the man, everything. So what I'm saying, it's not that she going out into the working world change that. I think the root of the problem is men who have not stand their ground, because I see a lot of men, even women who are in the homes, what you call them, housewife, don't have a certain level of income. The man is making a lot of money, but because she can manipulate that man, she can never stay in her role as a wife. So I don't think it depends on whether the woman is making more money than the man. I think it depends on the way the man is grounded in himself.
Hold on, bro. We can't go with thinking.
Hold on. No. Okay, hold on. We're also speaking from experience. So what I'm saying,
I want to say something. All right. So life has no room for mistake, because one mistake, life could succumb to one mistake. You don't want no mistake within life. Your wife is your life also. She carries your life. Your wife can make one mistake and it take your life, And she never mean it. Sleep with one man will have some disease, and that disease come right back to you. Your wife is the weaker part of you. She's vulnerable. So when your wife go out in a workforce, that's your life going out in the workforce, and another man can see this. No, there's nothing in the earth that the Almighty has created that is more beautiful than a woman to a man. She's the most beautiful thing that the Almighty has created for man. No diamonds, no pearls, no gold. She's the most beautiful thing that is like iron to magnet. So if your wife go out in a workforce, a man see a beautiful wife, they will initiate, and they will consistently initiate. She see them every day, right? And they may softly do it. And one day your wife have argument because your wife has power too as well. She has power. She's not dependent on you. She doesn't see you as the sun before her eyes, the light, the only light in her house, where she has to come to for anything. She's not dependent. She's independent, where she has her own path set before her. So this is initiation for divorce. So when she go like this now, and a man talk to her, one day you have argument, right? Because she's equal, right? She's not dependent. She's not submission. She's not in her submission role. Because when a woman at work, she don't need to submit no more. She has power. She has a say. She then, right? A man talk to her, little by little, them start sleep together. And if you do your research, 90% of it's because of their work in the workforce. Guaranteed.
Okay, can I say something to that?
yeah. Go ahead, Empress.
With regards to independence, because I think that a woman being independent does not automatically mean that woman is not submissive. Any man that requires a woman to be dependent on him to secure in his mind that she will not be unfaithful is a man that's a narcissist and wants to control. Now, a woman can be independent. The thing is, just like I believe women should make the right choices, because at the end of the day, a man can approach a woman, but the woman has to decide to accept this man. So when a woman makes a choice to go with this man, she has to examine all the parameters before she commits to this man. Likewise, a man must know that if I'm going to make this woman my wife, then she's worthy of the title of being my wife. Therefore, if I'm taking onto you as my wife, then I already have established or I've understood that this is the kind of person I am with. She will not being unfaithful. She is very grounded. She has her head screwed on her body. Therefore, I have no insecurities about her going out there into the world. And if a man see her and think she's beautiful, them can think she's beautiful. She will not bend to whatever it is that they're putting towards her. Likewise, a woman needs to choose a man that they know is grounded in himself, because I can tell you this from the person that I am. If a man is grounded in who he is and how he presents himself to the world, and I'm not talking with an air of control, I'm talking with an air of certainty in who he is, then I would submit to him. Because it's so easy to submit to a man who is grounded. You don't think
Naturally.
about the power struggle. Yeah, you don't think about the power struggle. You understand me? So a woman can be independent and can be grounded and can be faithful to a man. So independence does not automatically mean they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. And a woman just being dependent on a man will also cause issues, because if she has no income of her own, especially, and I'm not speaking in the olden, I'm in terms of the past times now, because we're now living in a different time, and so the culture and society has changed. In modern days, right? If a woman finds a man, I can speak for myself, who is fulfilling his duties, who is fulfilling everything that he should as a man, who is grounded in himself, being submissive to this man is no issue. I don't feel like I'm competing with him for any authority. We are equals, and being equals means that the respect both ways.
I'm gonna say something to you, right? I want you to hear this. Becoming one makes you technically not independent no more. The man is the head. That right there identify that you're dependent currently. You can't be. You can't say, "Hey, I'm independent," if you are becoming one. When the man is the head, the man is ruler. So anywhere direction he's go, you have to go. Anything he says must go on, because that's his life now.
That's why I specifically said that we are equals. You see,
No,
hold
a
on,
king and a queen is not equal. Hold on. An empire. Hold on. I want to say something.
No,
Hold
let me
on.
finish. Let me
Go
finish.
ahead.
The man being the head does not automatically mean he makes decisions without consulting his wife. It means that he is the one that's leading, yes, but a wise man is willing to take counsel from his wife as well. He's not going to make decisions across the board that's going to affect both parties or the entire family without saying to his wife, say, wife, this is what I think and this is what I want to do. What do you think? What is your input in this? It's not a case where I do as I say because I'm the head and therefore you follow me. That's not how a relationship works. In order for it to work, it has to be a balance. The scale has to be balanced. And if a woman is feeling like she's not being respected equally as to the man, then you're going to have rebellion, regardless of how you want to put it and how you think it should be. It is an equal partnership. It's a partnership. It's not a dictatorship.
I think a lot of men, give me a second, Sword. I think a lot of men are under this whole misconception. This is why I said, if the man does not bear that image of God, you're going to have a hard time following his lead. You're going to have a hard time submitting to his leadership, because how can you trust it? You understand? Grace says, Sword, she says, so it's forum confused on how we making excuses for men, but holds woman to a complete standard. So afterwards, you can address that Sword, right? So we have to create a balance in the union, because as Empress says, even though the man is the leader, guess what? It doesn't mean that you push off the wife as if she's nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like I said to you, even with my son, I put my son in scenarios. I ask him questions. I hear how he would judge that matter. We give him up, and he's just 11. So it's the same thing with your wife. So for example, in my last relationship, I was gonna go to the club with my friends. Right? Weeks before, I had to tell my wife, not that I'm obliged that, okay, she can say no. Hold on, let me just bring up this person. Oh, Grace is coming up. Welcome, Grace. Weeks before, I said to my wife, okay, my friends and I, we're gonna go out for a nightcap, right? So it's not to say to her that she says no, but it's the respect. Just like if she's gonna go somewhere, if she's gonna go to the market, right? If she's gonna go to the market, she's gonna tell me that, okay, I'm gonna go to the market this weekend. But if she goes to the market and then she got a call that she had to run to the bank, she's still gonna let me know that, okay, I'm done with the market. Now I'm going to the bank. It's not about reporting in the sense that I'm going to say, no, don't go to the bank. It's just a way of, and that's how you make your husband wise. That's how you make your wife wise. So guess what? There's no problem somebody can bring to your wife that she does not already known by you, and is nothing that should come to you. It's just like when if you own a company, if you're a manager for our team. If something happens within your department, you want them to come to you first. So when HR comes to you, you can speak on their behalf because you have knowledge of what happened. You'll know how to put it, how to fix it, how to solve the matter. It's the same skills that we should have in relationships. So it's not to push the woman aside. And what was mentioned about equality, we cannot have leadership and submission and equality at the same time. It might work in this Western culture, but it does not work. But I do understand. Go ahead now, Sword. Go ahead. Remember
Life.
to address the statement.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You're gonna have to remind me about it. Well, let me say something.
She's here.
Life system is a patriotic system, right? Life system is a patriarchy, and every household is a monarch, right? You have a king and a queen, and they're not equal. The king has power to be polygamous. The only person that the Almighty doesn't allow polygamy to. Hold on, he does. It's in the Bible. The only person that polygamy doesn't spread to is the priest, because the priest have a great position within life to serve the Almighty. That's the only person polygamy doesn't spread across. That's within the Torah. So every man has power to be a king, has a position to be a polygamy. The only thing that he has to write, a book that he does not take on himself too much wives. He's not supposed to do that. That's something that is significant that he's not supposed to do. No, as that has been said, right? I'm saying to you, your woman is your womb. The Almighty makes her a woman, for a significant reason, that her husband shall rule over her. Once you become one, you're no more independent. You're not independent more. You're not more free. You're not free. You are your husband's property. I'm not saying it because I'm a male, This is what's in the Bible. These are the laws of life. Because your wife also carries your life. You know what happened if she disobey her wife and commit adultery? Do you know that the Almighty can say, hey, it's in the Bible, your wife can make a vow and her husband can disallow her from her vow. These are laws of the Almighty. The Almighty didn't make two males to go in one home. That means two power. He made one male and one female. You notice how the Saudi Arabian woman dressed? She dressed in black and the man dressed in white. One is day and one is night. One is day and one is night, So the man is the light where she see that she has to follow. She doesn't have that bright light to follow the male, for the male to follow her. So what I'm trying to say to you, becoming one technically make her dependent, because then she has to follow, and he is the head. She has to submit where the head want to go. That's what it is, because she's basically his womb for him to procreate. That's what it is, brother. I didn't make the laws of life.
I think you quoted the thing, because what you mentioned about kings were not supposed to have more than one wife, and that's one of the biggest mistake I see a lot of people teach about kings. If you want to even go to the law, kings were forbidden to have more than one wife. We saw what happened with Solomon, and it's not just about going into the spirituality of the other nations. Kings were not supposed to have more than one wife. No, priests. This is where the confusion is with this culture. Priests were never forbidden to one wife. Priests were only forbidden to marry a woman that is not a virgin. But there's no law that says a priest should not have more than one wife. And when people get to the hold on. Yeah, you can find the scripture in the meantime I'm speaking. No, this is where I have the problem in the New Testament, because when they go to, I think, the book of Timothy is one of them, where it says the priest should be husband to one wife. That's not what it means in the Greek. It's talking about the first wife, because if the law in the Old Testament did not confine a priest to one wife, There's no way Paul can come back, otherwise Paul would be speaking against Torah. And we know Paul is not speaking against Torah. The only person in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 18 that was forbidden to have more than one wife was the king. And I'm going to read that in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 18. While you're finding your scriptures, I'm going to go to the book of Deuteronomy and confirm that kings were not supposed to have more than one wife. Because there's a law
You
for
will not
priests,
find
there's
it
a
there.
law
You
for
will not find
women.
it there. I guarantee you will not find it there. You misread. Because even the Almighty show you say this is the manner, and in even Deuteronomy, this is the manner and how you are supposed to treat your wife. If you have one hated and one beloved, he showed you the manner and how to treat them. We black people were created by a man that had more than one wife. It is natural. It is natural for a man to have more than one wife. It's an affliction for a man to have one wife. It's an affliction.
Address it from the scripture, the standpoint of the scripture first, and then we can move from there to get the concrete what is said, right? Okay, I'm at Deuteronomy chapter 17, and I'm going to start at 15. It says, "Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother." Verse 16, but he, the he is talking about kings, right? He says, "But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he," the he is talking about kings, "neither shall he multiply wives to himself." So this is where people have
No,
problems
continue.
when, hold on.
Continue. I know
Okay.
the Bible is written. Continue.
All right. He says, "Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his
No, go
kingdom."
back to where he said wife, because he said something after that. He said, "No, he shall multiply himself wife, but it can turn his heart away." That means
Hold
if
on,
you
let me,
have too much
okay,
wife, you turn your heart away. You get Clyde.
hold on. Let me read
Just
it
read that.
again.
Continue.
Or maybe you have, it's verse 17. It says, "Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away."
Away. Yeah, you can't take too much wife.
Right. No, but why? Okay, is this a command for other men in the
There's a
Bible?
boundary. There's a boundary. You can't take one rule for wife because you turn your heart away if you have too much woman. You know, good. Just as if you eat too much mango, you get Clyde. You're not supposed to do that because you turn for the mango.
Brother, you're twisting the law. The law forbids a
No,
king.
Can I say
if you go
something?
more again night,
Okay, go ahead, Grace. Hold on, Sword. Go ahead, Grace.
Based off, first of all, from my understanding, the whole entire New Testament is considered Torah. What was given in the first beginning, far as the first couple books, that has to do with the law that Moses was given. In those times, I've said before, that has everything to do with them also dealing with other customs. But the whole entire the Old Testament is considered Torah. It is said, I want to say either Micah or something like that, where priests are not supposed to multiply wives. They're supposed to be loyal to their first wife. That's in scripture.
hello, I not come from change no law. It's also in there that the Almighty allows us to have more than one wife. This is not something that is negotiable. The Almighty is not against that. No, what I'm trying to say to you, right, is that there are rules that the Almighty had set. There's an order. There is a framework that we must follow. If we don't follow those framework, we're going to have chaos. You understand me? You can't have the woman be independent. You can't have her independent because you set divorce, you splitting apart before you. She will split apart from you. You're gonna have divorce. You know, today a woman said they don't need man because they ain't free. You know
No,
what? That's a chaotic thing, you know.
Yeah, but divorce is not on the premise of independence. Divorce.
No, it is because you're gonna have debates, you're gonna have fights within your home, you're gonna have domestic violence in your home.
Hold on. Divorce does not come about as a result of a woman being independent. divorce comes about as a result of conflict, and conflict can come about in various forms. And I think the way how you're expressing things is showing me that it's, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but it is a one-sided perspective. Divorce comes in when you cannot make amends to whatever the conflict is, and it could be something as simple as the man being a selfish human being or the woman being promiscuous or whatever the situation may be, right? But it is that you cannot reconcile whatever the situation is that has arisen. Both parties cannot come to an agreement to reconcile, and therefore there is divorce. So it doesn't have to do with because the woman is independent. And you saying that independence leads to divorce is almost as if you're saying that all divorce comes as a result of the woman having the choice to leave, and that is not true. A woman will not leave a situation wherein she is comfortable. You understand me? She
But
won't.
is there not actually a such thing as rebellion? And I'm saying that because putting a woman in the position to actually feel like, okay, she could actually go against what her husband's saying without valid judgment is actually giving her a certain ideal that she really don't have. Because technically what he say is final if you're going off order of operation. What he says goes, and that's final if we actually gonna go, because rebellion is supposed to be a sin as like witchcraft.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there's a process.
Yes,
So can he be wrong? Can he be like a Nabal? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's still a way to go about it.
Yeah, but even Christ pointed out when the Pharisees were asking him about divorce and all the things, and he said it was because of the hardness of men's heart. It's not a case where rebellion doesn't play a role in this, right? But in terms of, especially in the modern context, right, divorce can come about, as I said, because of conflict that cannot be resolved, and that comes. I mean, even if the man is the head of the household, the Bible also says that not because you're the head of the household, you should deserve that role. You should deserve that submission. You should deserve that submission,
Empress.
because not every man, hold on.
Even
Not
if we're
every-
gonna go into how a king is led, at the end of the day, he has subjects that he listens to. He has people that he talks
Yeah.
to, but he still makes the final decision.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. He makes the final decision, but especially in the context of a relationship where it is supposed to be equally yoked, in my opinion, it's not a case where he's not going to make the final decision, but he's not going to make the decision outside of consulting his wife.
Hold on. I
Equally
understand that.
yoke has to do with the
Hold on.
mind,
Oh,
though.
can I say
Equally
something?
yoke has to say y'all are at
Coming to
least
grace.
one
Can I
in
say something?
mind.
Can I say something to you? I'll say this again vehemently. I don't believe I have 4 daughters. I got 2 of them written right now. Okay. I have 4 daughters, right? I don't believe women should be afflicted. Stop. I don't believe females should be ever been abused. No way. But there's a design that the Almighty made them us to be, right? That we shouldn't try or experiment no other way. No other way for experiment. I understand that woman wants their way, but it cannot be that way, because what you have before you, we're gonna be divorced. Every action bring a reaction. If women are independent, they will feel in their mind that they can do whatever they want, which you have today. Like, for instance, in countries where women are not independent, you have longer marriages and you have lower diseases. Like, for instance, Saudi Arabia. These countries, I'm not saying they're doing the right thing, Are they righteous? Are they treating women as they're supposed to be, I'm just showing you that where women are less independent and dependent on the males, they're together with their husband forever. And their countries have less diseases.
Okay, let me say something.
Where I'm not saying they don't abuse women there,
Let me say something, Sword.
I'm you that women are to be dependent on their man.
Let me say something regarding what you said.
Should make it where every man, when they get paid, they can sufficiently take care of their wives. That's how it's supposed to be, their family. But you can't have women that go work. Majority
Isn't he
of them
talking about
today.
like pretty much like a woman that takes her her husband? It brings down some type of discord, like a scripticus.
What you're seeing today is women.
Leviticus 3:24. But that's not what he's referring to. But what I want to deal with, I want to I want us to stay right where he's talking about the independence, because I don't think the independence or the strong woman is about financial stuff. I think it's about equal in intellectual power. For example, if a woman is broke and the man has money, if that broke woman can manipulate that man, she will never respect him. And if the man has no money, but he has his standards, he's grounded in his principles and everything, and that woman is rich, she can never manipulate that man, and she would naturally have to respect him. Even if she has to step away, but she'll say, you know what, I respect that man. There's something about him, I respect him. You understand? So the strong independent thing is not about finance, because most of these people who talk about strong and independent, they're financially struggling. But if the man is strong in his principles, like go to Adam and Eve, if when Eve came and say, okay, let's eat this knowledge, Adam already grounded to say, no, we follow Yahweh. There's no way he should have bowed to what the woman is coming to. So that is how the woman become independent of the man, because she can come to you with a foolishness. Say, hey, I need 10,000 this weekend to do something. You're not curious. What is the something that you're gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna go visit my mom next week. Oh, why aren't we doing it together? Why aren't we visiting your mom together? You see what I'm saying? So once the woman can manipulate the man in that way, she will never have that respect for him. So the strong and independent, I think it has less to do with finances, but more to do with how grounded are you as a man. This is why the Most High went to Adam in the garden. He did not go to Eve, even though Eve messed up. So as you mentioned, as a man is a king in his house, right? You have the battlemen set up on your roof as prepare for war. Now, if you cannot protect yourself from your own woman, because guess what? This is a part of their instinct, because she needs to prove that she can really trust you. So how does she know that if another woman come and do the same manipulative tactics, how does she know that you're not going to bend when you go under that pressure? So she can use the only craft she knows, which is cunning and subtlety, to test your skills. Is not to really put you down, but she wants to really secure that, okay, this man, he can handle things under pressure. When there's no money, he knows how to do this. When there's he knows how to make things work, even in the darkest of thoughts. A woman comes and lift her dress in front of him, he knows how to turn away to say no, go on, you know. So that's the thing. Yeah, go ahead, Sword.
I heard you say something about battlement, but I understand the Almighty is a one of war. It's in nature for us to be people of war. This is how we're gonna have to. This is how we grow. Because when you hacked into that, you become innovative. You know what I mean? It makes you smarter. But what I'm trying to say, the battlement, it does mean that you make a castle, defines kingdom, and defines your sovereignty. This is why it must be there that you create and even though we are man of war, it has to be on your house. But okay, all right. When you talk about independence, I'm not saying a woman is not independent.
I want you to expound. I want you to expound.
Hold on.
You mentioned a keyword. I'm just gonna cut you. You mentioned a keyword: sovereignty and battlement. Now let's take it from the physical house and let's go to our spiritual house. The battlement is supposed to protect that space, right? So let's put your house as here, right? So let's talk along that concept that this is the house that you're protecting, right? If the woman can tear down this is where your empire starts. It starts here. This is where all the battles start. So if the woman can tear down your battlement and infiltrate your mind and let you eat something that you know you should not eat, that's what I'm talking about. She has no reason to trust you or respect you if she can let you betray your own principles. So I'm speaking along that line, not the independence in terms of money, but independence as in she's stronger than you mentally. She can talk you out of things. Go ahead in that context. Or are you still dealing with your daughters? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, what you just said a while ago, right? Yes, what you just said a while ago. You just even identify the importance of that woman must be dependent and they can't be free as how they are today. They cannot be free like this, brother. It's impossible. You know and I know that the Almighty won't have them so free. And they can't be where them dress the way them dress. Them have to cover up like the woman with their Saudi Arabia. That is fact in the kingdom of the Almighty.
Well, no, Sword. We understand what the Bible is saying now, but we have to still integrate what the Bible says in where we are today. We cannot just go back to 2,000 years ago as if we have to integrate it in where we are today. And 1,000 years from now, we still have to integrate the knowledge in whatever life is being living in in 1,000 years. So let's integrate these scriptures in today's time. So this is why she Empress mentioned earlier. But then, even though the women were staying home and the man was protecting and providing, guess what? A lot of these women were under domestic, abuse. A lot of them stayed with the man because of fear. Because guess what? As you mentioned, she would have no substance. So where's she gonna go with 5 children, 4 children? You understand? She had no substance. So naturally, that's like forced into submission. And this is what I said. That's the Greek concept. That's not how you.
No, brother. Hold on. We could still. You're basically saying that it's okay for now. You know that 85 to 70% are initiated by females. And a lot of times, it's not because of abuse, They just leave. No, I'm not saying that it was right for men to abuse women or ever abuse women. What I'm saying is that they can't have the freedom they have today. We could still make it where they're safe, but they can't have the access with them of today, brother. Because it ruin family. Single mothers, if you do any research right now, their children are the ones in the graveyard and in the prison system. The gangsters and the prostitutes, the majority of them. That's just numbers we can get by yourself, brother.
All right, let's stay right there, right? Because I want to show you that it's still gonna go back to the sovereignty of the man's intellect. Let me tell you why. For example, me, I have fallen as a father, right? So I'm not 100% financially in my son's life, but guess what? You see, on every other aspect, you can ask my son's mother. You can put my son in the conference right now, and he can speak. So what you're saying, brother, it's still okay. All those single mothers, where are the fathers that are still alive? So even if are they intellectually in the son's life, or in these children's life, operating their helping them with choices and how they go about ruling territories? Are they doing that? Because I understand if it's a single mother, but where is the father that is? You know what I mean? My son does not step outside of the confinements of what I teach him. Like, let me give you an example. He knows not to eat crustaceans, right? He called me some months ago and said his sister cooked crab, and he asked me permission. I said, no, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. You already know what to eat and what not to eat. I left him to his own decision because he already knew what I taught him. And then when I spoke to his mother, because he told me his mother said yes, he can eat. But when I spoke to his mother said, no, next year you're going to be a young man, so you're going to have to make your own decisions and deal with the consequence. And then he called me out of respect. So guess what? He still respect me so much to the point where he can call to ask me that, even though I'm not physically there. He lives abroad. Even though I'm not physically there, he still respect me so much. And then the next day when I spoke to him, you know what he said? He said, Daddy, I made some cereal and I went to bed. He made the decision because of what I taught him, because of what his mother supported me in teaching him. You see what I'm saying? So even when you go back to the Rasta men back then, you'll see a lot of the Rastas, their wives were cream here, perm here, all this, they never wore the same hair. That's to show there was never an alignment. So once you find yourself as a man, you have to now remake the woman in your image. That is where the house falls apart. So you mentioned about single mothers. Again, I know a lot of them push out the men out of the home, but where are the men in the children's life? I understand they're no longer in the woman's life. I'm not in my son's mother's life, but we talk almost. Hold on. So I'm showing you the sovereignty of here, brother. The sovereignty starts here. If you cannot rule here, you rule in your house. How are you going to do it? Let the female speak a little bit, then you come back. Go ahead, Empress.
Yes, so that's what I was saying, and you know me, I always bring up this whole Adam and Eve thing, right? The man is the head of the household, yes, but when it is said, like, it's almost as if the blame is on the woman for the breakdown of any family structure or relationship. If men are grounded in who they are, then women will follow suit, because automatically the type of men that are out there for us to choose from, we will know that certain men are not going to accept certain things. And it's not you can get women to submit to a certain way of living without being forceful about it. It's not about dictating it. It's not about having it be a command, even if it is designed that way. It's about, I don't know if you remember watching Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm going to bring that up, and there's a reason. There's a scene in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where Khaleesi, that black woman, that powerful woman that they had to try and coax out the power out of her, and the different men approached her with different ways to speak to her in order to elicit that reaction out of her. And the one that actually got the reaction is the simplest one among them, who whispered, gently to her to get that power to be unleashed out of her. It's like that with women in general. You can get a woman to be submissive. You can get a woman to respect you without having to be forceful about it, without having to have it to say, okay, this is law because it is law and it has to be this way. No, you can get a woman to respect you by being a respectable human being. You understand me? And so the problem is that men nowadays, a lot of men nowadays, the reason why the relationships are breaking down, the reason why homes are not established, is because who is supposed to be the leader of the household is not fulfilling their role. And once men get in alignment with God the way they ought to be, they get in alignment.
Yeah, and they're using finances as an excuse because they to say, okay, I cannot lead my woman because I don't have enough money to lead her. This is where the problem is, because this is why when COVID, I don't know if you guys remember COVID. When COVID happened, there are a lot of divorce happened because guess what? A lot of those households you see look functional. It's really because she's getting the comfort of mind, the luxurious. But when you cannot provide that anymore, and this is why you see those women are not loyal to you or your sovereignty of your mind. They are loyal to the luxury or the comfort that you can provide. Because what happens now when she finds somebody else who can provide twice the luxurious life that you have to offer? What is she gonna be submitted to with you? So your money is not a leader. If your money is leading, that means you are not the leader. The money is the leader. So what happens when the money has been removed? It is your presence should lead the woman. Yeah, go ahead, Sword.
Brother, I want to say this because I feel like what I'm saying to you, you think it's negotiable in the coming future, in coming near future. This is not negotiable what I'm speaking to you. I am not speaking oppression for women. I'm speaking to consolidate marriage, to put things in a binding marriage, because marriage is significant for our life. If you don't have marriage, you're going to have sexual immorality. Therefore, the Almighty will extend curse. So disease, different diseases start coming on earth and start breed up in the earth. Every action in life produces something. This is why it's significant to have righteous behaviors within life. So it produces righteous outcomes. Now, as that has been said, right? The female in the Almighty regime, she don't have the freedom when they have today. It's impossible to give her that freedom there. She's not gonna, because you're not gonna put division. Certain freedoms will erect division, divorces, arguments, domestic fights will come. We're gonna have. Not have the freedom today, right? They have this freedom. And what comes about? You have abortion start arose. You have women having a lot of bodies on their body. They're not virtuous. They're not modest anymore. Look at the freedom they have today. No, their freedom, divorces sky high through the roof, right? You have single mothership through the roof. You have
everything you're saying. You just putting it as if it's the woman's fault. If the man has already not their structure.
Hear me out. I'm not saying men are doing what they're supposed to do, but if men were supposed to be masculine, true righteous masculine man, it will force women in submission.
Masculinity has nothing to do with a man that's choosing not to be or stay in a home. Masculinity has nothing to do with a man who's choosing to lay with a woman and still decide to go wherever they want to go.
Okay. Let me give you a different role then. Let me give you a different. I come from a different direction then.
Explanation that she just gives before you speak.
Hold on.
I just want to hear what she said. What you said about masculinity, Judith? Go ahead with what you said about masculinity.
He brought up masculinity. Masculinity is not only the problem with men. It's men who literally they lack accountability. They don't want to lay with somebody and actually stay with that woman. They want to go from person to person to person. So a woman has become accustomed to what is going on. And so at that point, she's like, okay, cool. If this is what's going on, I'm not going to continue to put my feelings in something. I'm just going to be comfortable with going person to person to person. The man is actually leading this structure, and that's why it's falling the way it is. It has nothing to do with just the woman. You're completely blaming the woman as if because the woman is not in her role, it's continuing to fall. It's because the man is not in his.
Listen, I said this the other day. I have said this the other day. I feel like men are to be blamed for most of what's going on today because they are the ones who are left in charge. I'm not saying men are doing what they're supposed to do, but I'm trying to say to you, I'm trying to show you the role of the female that she must do today. She's not supposed to, where a man do, she can follow. We don't want the female. Today, women have become masculine because they have become independent.
Because of not fulfilling their roles. And that's the thing that she's trying to say. Yes, we're no more masculine. Yes, we're no more independent. But if men are fulfilling their roles, then women can fulfill the roles that they are designed to fulfill. And until men get back in line with God and live according to what they are supposed to be living, you're going to find women having to pick up the slack, because it's not just one person in a relationship, right? So if the relationship falls apart, then the onus is on the man and the woman to work together to make it work. And if it cannot work, it just cannot work. But if men are living, you see, if Adam was living in accordance to the will of God, when Eve came to him and said, hey, come try this now, he would not. He would say, do you not know that that is not supposed to be done? He would not have succumbed to it because he was weak to begin with. If he was not weak-minded, then
Eve them enough today. They sip them today. Yes.
Yeah, Eve could not have Eve could not have enabled him to make the mistake that he has made. So it's the same thing. And the problem too was when God came and addressed Adam, instead of taking responsibility right then and there to say, hey, you know what, God, you're right, I do something wrong, he blamed the woman, which is now happening today, which out of your mouth. Right? He's blaming the woman that God gave him, the woman that you made me, and then now following suit because him blame her. So of course she's gonna shift the blame. She's following suit, right? So now she's now saying, oh, you can't blame me. You know, the serpent that you made deceived me. You understand me? So then there's this shifting of the blame, when rightfully so, Adam is the first person that was created. He already knew the principles. He was to teach his wife as well. His wife came with something was against the rules or against what God had said, and instead of correcting her, he went right into it with her. So again, it comes right back down. The problem is that the men who are designed to be the leaders are not leading in accordance to God's will. And when we can negotiate with this all we want, but as long as men are not doing what they're supposed to do, you're going to find women doing what they're doing now.
I'm
We want to fix.
you on that. Disagreeing with you on that. But I'm telling you what the position will be when men start to do what is right. Women won't be so independent as how they are today. A woman can't wear the clothes that they wear today. So I've just outlined what it's gonna be like. Women now gonna have the freedom to go on to work. When men start become what they're supposed to be, they're gonna be stay-at-home moms.
That is not a necessity. In
Hold
Proverbs
on.
31, she was also a woman who pretty much helped run the household, helped run a business. The man went and got the bread and she passed it out. So it's still a role that she played, regardless if it was back then or not. Was it some who were actually able to stay at home and be a housewife?
Okay.
Yes. But there were not always women that were required to stay at home and be a housewife. That is not what you're trying to do. Is not what it is. Like at first, what I thought you were trying to do was something completely different, but how you going about it is not what's going on.
Hold on.
Hold on. Let me say something. We have to understand, because this is why I said we have to integrate the scriptures in today's life, not back in the past, not in the future, but in today's life. For example, as she says, if it is an act of necessity that your wife has to go to work, like for example, there was this guy who was a contractor, right? He was taking care of his household, but he fell from some building and he broke some bones and so forth, right? So now his wife has to go out to continue, as she mentioned in Proverbs 31. She now has to start doing these things that she never used to do. But guess what? Because it is an act of necessity. So are you going to say, no, but the Bible says the woman should not work? No, it is an act of necessity. For example, in the book of Apocrypha, you remember the guy that was blind? After he fell sick and so forth, no, the woman had to go out and do what type of job? Woman's work. So your work does not make you masculine. Your pain, matter of fact, it's not even masculine, it's broken femininity. Broken femininity is not masculinity. And we use this term a lot. It's not masculine. She's broken. Her femininity is broken. And that's what it is. She's not masculine because if she was masculine, she would be able to raise a son properly. She's in a wounded femininity. That's not masculinity. We wouldn't have a problem with them raising our sons. So we have to come to that understanding to say, hey, the world we're living in today, probably the job that you're doing, brother, it can only maintain the bills in your home, but it cannot do anything additional. So if it's necessary for your wife has to go out to do something, If you cannot provide her with certain other things, then she has to do what she has to do to make the home functional nonetheless. So going to work to get a job does not make a woman wounded in her femininity. It is the pressures and the stress and the hurt and everything. You mentioned earlier about women in a certain way, right? But let's think about it. How many of those homes had fathers in them? Where you mentioned women who are promiscuous are, going to whoredom and things of that. How many of those homes, those daughters were raised with fathers? Let's get into that aspect of it. If we want to hold people accountable, we're going to have to hold both parties, because the king and the queen, just as the king is responsible for decision making, guess what? When it comes down to judgment, the king has to be, just like on a ship, who is going to be held accountable? The captain, right? It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's the captain at the end of the day, because everybody's life is in his hands. So it's the same now, brother. When we talk about women who are promiscuous and, were molested and all of that, how many of those homes had fathers? Then we have to now narrow it down to say, okay, what were the reasons? Because most of us just came from those fathers who go around, lay their seed everywhere. And so we grow up with no father. So we just recycling the same thing. We're just doing the same thing that our fathers were doing before us. So in order for us to fix problems, we have to go back to the root. We have to deal with the man first.
I agree.
So let's deal with it. Hold on. Let's deal with the intellectual sovereignty of the man first before we can even think about the woman and the children. So let's fix it from the root. Intellectual sovereignty. You mentioned about kings. We have to be kings here. Now you can go ahead and speak.
Yeah. So if you are forced, all right, here one. I'm not gonna disagree that men are not doing what they're supposed to do today. Men have failed greatly today, right? But I'm speaking on what's coming in the future, the direction that we're gonna have to go into. You have to understand that when we do things, we can't do things to anger the Almighty. And to do things not to anger the Almighty, we have to set up our guardrails with the commandments that He gives, the judgments that He gives, right? So, and we have to protect our females at the same time, which protect our life. Doing this, the woman cannot be independent as how she is today. You don't want whoredom to come into the earth at all. Listen to me, a system that is going to be provided, the males will be sufficiently able to provide for him and his wife, because we have to pay them as we know that he's one. His wife is his property that he has to feed.
But even if we go back into biblical times, technically majority of the men, especially in tribes that we were in, majority of them were at war. So the woman still had to provide and be the one that was the head of household. Even if you go into like a pack of lions, the woman is still who go out and get the food and come back. So you kind of taking certain things out that's not making sense, and you making it about independence when it has nothing to do with independence.
No, hold on.
The fact of the matter,
there's a specific way. Whenever time you have a widow, the Almighty had put in the system where she and her children will properly be taken care of and protected. That the Almighty Himself will destroy a man that goes against the child that is fatherless. You understand me? So there's a specific way to provide. The system will provide for her. That's it. So the Almighty, just as you have a welfare system for a single mother, there is a system that the Almighty would have put forward to take care of the widow. Now, what I'm trying to say to you, the Almighty is totally against harlotry. And we can see also to be against harlotry as well.
yes, but we've heard you say that several times.
So what I'm trying to say to you is that the woman is not going to be so free as how she is today.
Hold on. We agree, and you keep on going back to women being free, women being free, women being free. The fact of the matter is, you have yet to address the fact. You only mentioned it briefly, saying that yes, you agree that men need to do, but there's always a but. It's not but. It's yes, men need to do what they need to do. It's not but. Because once it is that is done, once it is that men are grounded and doing what they're supposed to do, automatically all else falls into place. So there's no need then for you to say women cannot be free. You understand me? Women are always free. The freedom of a woman and the independence of a woman has nothing to do with how a man is supposed to operate and how a relationship is supposed to go. You can have a woman that is free-willed, free-minded, independent thinking, and a man who is grounded in himself, and the relationship can work. There is a balance to things. So this ideology that you have of women not being free, it is a skewed and archaic way of thinking. You understand me? And
He
unless
has
none,
that mindset though, because if people go back into Genesis, the woman was kind of forced into that, but she was forced into that because at the time where it was okay, listen to your woman, the man had a complete understanding that I can listen to my woman and she don't have to rule over me. He actually listened to her and went off bounds. And so at that point, that made the Most High say, all right, the woman is completely ruled over. And that got took and ran with. But nobody is actually understanding what went on then.
yeah, it's our punishment to bear as a result of disobedience, but it doesn't mean that that's the way God intended it to be. You understand me? And the fact that there are men today that will still run with this ideology, thinking that that's the way it's supposed. No, it's supposed to be equal. It's supposed to be balanced. It's supposed to be the man is firm in his role, the woman is firm in their role. She is a helpmeet to him, so she's supposed to support his purpose. He is also to support her purpose. What they do together is the purpose that God give them as a union, right? But individually, they have their own individual purpose to pursue, and each should support each other's purpose. But this idea of the woman cannot be free, the woman cannot be freed, it's very backwards, it's very skewed, and it's very controlling, and that is why a lot of breakdown in society today, because you don't have to be controlled to be to be submissive.
Let me first say this, right? Whenever time I speak in the constitution of life. I don't speak on my own will and make my laws and give to the people or spread my idea. I speak within the confine of the laws of the Almighty. Now, when I speak, I speak that women shouldn't be oppressed at all. I'm not saying that they're not supposed to be free-minded or independent-minded thinkers, right? I've never said that. Yes, women can have their opinions as long as it's in the realm of good. What is in righteousness, you can say whatever you need to say. We have boundaries in life. Woman has rule that makes them to consistently be feminine, which attracts male. Today, women are becoming less attractive to males. Whenever time they open their mouth, man start not like them. And this is not only my opinion, this is a fact. And they call them names. And that's because of the freedom that they have today. The access
Women
what
can
they
have a free
today.
mind regardless. It has to be you that is in the alignment to where you can be able to
Hold on,
correct
hold
her
on,
when
sir,
she
sir,
out of
sir,
bounds.
sir,
She
sir.
can have a free mind regardless.
Hold on, sir. I'm not saying something that it is not here in our population that we can't get access to. The information is there. Marriage is on a decline because men are not finding women attractive. And when you don't find women attractive, that's an abomination because women have become masculine, too outspoken, and verbally being abusive to males. They're becoming unattractive. Males don't like women, I know, no.
Let me say something.
We have to get them to a place where they speak to us nicely and
Let me
kindly.
let me say something. Excuse me a second, sword.
Lower them vice.
Excuse me a second, sword. Excuse me a second, sword. I heard a lot of women say things like this. Say a man cannot handle them when they are financially up. And the way you are sounding right now, I'm not really putting on any judgment on you, but the way you're sounding, you would sound like the caliber of men that these women are really referring to. That if she's not less earned than you don't really have that dominion over her. And if we go back to our grandmothers back then, the reason why they were so loyal is because they had no choice. And when I say loyal, I mean loyal to the man's provision and protection. So for example, if the only way she would eat is when I come from the farm with the food, and when I come from the bush with the dry woods to cook, if that was the only way for her to eat, she had no choice but to submit naturally. So what I'm saying is, no, what if that was a case where her father gave her some landed property with animals and all of these things, and you did not have any inheritance? How would you manage that woman? In that she's not going out to work because she has all the farm animals and so forth and landed property. How would you keep that woman in that alignment? Is still going to go back to your sovereignty. Like, for example, like I said with me, I don't care how much money a woman makes. Hold on. I want to just make a point. Even the way I speak, when I speak to women, even if they're the boisterous, loud type, they don't have that thing to even be loud with me. My presence with them, even if they would naturally do that, when they're speaking with me, they fall in line naturally. If you notice that, people respect me because
You're talking a reality that is not here. You hear what I'm saying?
No. It's not weird. It's not weird.
Here, we you
We're
talking, brother? You live in the
hold,
state. You live in the state. No, even in Jamaica.
hold on,
Hold on. You're
no,
talking a reality that is not there. Woman or even
hold on. Am I talking about my
people
dreams?
have
Hold
no.
on. Let's deal with that part. You said I'm talking a reality that's not here. So I
Yeah.
want to know: am I speaking about my dreams? Am I thinking? Or am I speaking about actual reality with boisterous women? What am I speaking about?
Hold on.
Something in my head?
Listen up. All right, let me give you an example. I think
Are you?
this week,
Are you? Are?
yeah,
Go ahead.
this week we had the president of France, Emmanuel Macron. His wife slapped him in the face on camera. That's what in the plane now. I am trying to show you that what we have made the woman to be today. I'm gonna say we have made the woman to be today. It's something that is distasteful, and we have to step back and see that this is not something that is bringing peace to our home. It's an affliction. Get me to you. I am not saying females must be afflicted in any way. I am saying there is a design that the Almighty had made, a rule, a line that she must stay in, that she must not cross. Because if she cross that way, our boys may become feminized. A lot of chaotic things will come from the reaction with the freedom that man has given her. The Almighty has not given her this freedom that she has today. He have never given her this role. That's what I'm trying to say to you. The Almighty never give her a role to become
Let's hold on, because each time you go back to the Almighty, it's like you're going back in time. You're not integrating. Let me ask you something, right? If you had slapped Macron on camera, off camera, what would you think his judgment would have been? So what I'm saying is, why is it that when Judith, in the book of in the Apocrypha, when it talks about the woman who slapped the king with her left hand, that's what Macron is like today. That guy, that king, that the queen slapped with the left hand, with the back of the hand. That's an insult to even slap with the back of the hand. So what I'm saying is, brother, this goes back to he's not an intellectual, he's not a sovereign man in his temple, in his kingdom here, in his empire. He's not sovereign, because if another woman had done that, he can imprison her, he can let them unalive her. He has the authority. Have you guys watched the Bowling Sisters? You notice the man with the queen. He turned stupid when he got the younger woman to go to bed with. It's the queen had to remind him, hey, you are the Deegan king. That's when he started to handle the Bowling Sisters, and afterwards sentenced there to be unalive and so forth. The man is a king, and it's like he does not know how to be a king. It is the same queen that he was rejecting for these younger women. And this is what happens when a man is not grounded again. When what we're saying. Hold on. Let me just finish with King Henry. He's not grounded because the reason why he took on to one of these poor women was because that he wanted a son. No, he got the woman. He forget that it was a son he wanted. So he banished the son and the woman because what? He now lost himself. You see? So you still need a mature woman by your side that's equal in knowledge and power and wisdom and subtlety and cunning. It's the same queen that he rejected. Go and watch the Bowling Sisters after this. But you can go ahead and speak.
So I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. Stop.
I think he's tending to his daughters. Empress, Grace. I think, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. In every decision we make, right, and any law should be made, it should be best for life. What is best for life? Not what fuel our ego or emotion. So the laws are not what man think it is. It's supposed to be what is best for life. Today, men becoming impotent means sexually impotent, right? Is on a rise. They have to use some sexual advanced thing to get them aroused. Women should be as like a Viagra itself. She has the nature to be that itself. So today men are not truly in love with them as they're supposed to be, because they're very aggressive.
No,
Men are something. Let me say something, Emperor. When a woman speak to her husband, it should always arouse him. It should never be something that attracts violence, right, or hatred. Today, women don't speak like that with a soft tone.
Okay,
You
that's
understand me?
understandable, right?
No.
Women
Hold
don't do that, but
on. Let me finish. When for instance, when men speak to the Almighty, men have to speak humbly. At all time, that's the position we're in. Woman in the position when they speak to the man, it's always arouses. We are to be erected. We are to be erected. We're
okay.
supposed to be stimulated. That's the order.
That's the
That's
only
the
way y'all
order.
listen.
Hold on,
When a
hold on,
woman
hold on,
has
hold
to
on, hold
raise
on,
her
hold on.
voice for you, because first of
Hold
all,
on,
if
hold
you're
on,
a man
Grace.
and
Hold
you
on,
stay
Grace.
level and you do not raise your
Hold on,
voice, she's
Grace.
not gonna raise her voice at you. If she's
Hold on,
raising her
Grace.
voice,
Hold
it's
on,
because
Grace.
you're not trying to listen at all.
Hold on, Grace. Hold on, Grace.
Okay, hold on.
Hold on. No. You're saying about arousal. The reason why men cannot be aroused has nothing to do with women talking to them bad. Pornography and all manner of other sexual immorality that has infiltrated society is what is causing men to not have sexual prowess. Not only that, the way they're eating, the way they're living, the way they're living their life is really diluting the virility of men. So yeah, you might have some men that are turned off from aggressive women. You need to make better choices, because just like how we have men that are not so good men and women have to make better choices, men need to know who they are committing to and not commit to a woman based on the lust of their heart, right? So therefore, when you're saying that a woman should arouse them by the voice and how they speak to them, that's nothing. Men right now are being shown things on social media and in the media that are unrealistic. The average woman does not have high bosoms and whatever. The average woman does not always look beautiful every day when they wake up. The average woman has other things going on. But this what they see on the TV, in the media, in the movies, and what they see out in the world has corrupted the heart of mankind to the point, because if it's all about sex, you're talking about arousal. It shows me that you're only seeing women as objects. You understand me? And that is what is messing up men and women today. The way how we view sex, the way how we view marriage, the way how we view things, right? It's not about a woman having a firm tone or anything about that. It's about men now, the things that they're seeing on the internet and whatever. The sex is not normal anymore. You have to be doing all manner of other promiscuous things and all manner of other lustful things in order to please a man. Right? So it's not about getting a man aroused. It's about feeding him intellectually, spiritually, mentally, and sexually. It's not just about sex. And it has to go both ways. A man cannot expect a woman to be submissive to him if he's not treating her right. A man cannot expect a woman to be sexually aroused by him and to submit to him sexually, willingly doing so, if he's not fulfilling his role. And if he's going to be a hard-hearted man, that is even going to make it worse. So it's regardless of how you keep wanting to put it back on the woman, it is the man that has failed. From day one, that has been established. It is the man, and unless the man can fulfill their role today, I'm not talking about tomorrow, I'm not talking about yesterday. Today, men need to start making changes so that tomorrow can be different. So you know, in your household, have to do something different. Teach your daughters differently, your nephews, whoever you have around you differently, so that the future can change. So you can't say that in the future it will be this way and it will be that way. Nothing changes unless we make the changes today.
Empress, the current rule order that we lived under, where women are so free and independent, was given by man, and man also are the defenders of the rule-based order you have today, not female. Female cannot defend themselves. We are the ones who dictate the sovereignty you have today. This is a fact. Hold on. This
Disagree
is a
with
fact. If every
It's
man
not a
say, you know
fact,
what,
it's
hold
an
on.
opinion.
Oh,
It is an
no.
opinion.
Empress, hold on, Empress. Let me say something. If collectively all men come by together and say, you know what, we're gonna put women exactly as Sword of Life said, the female can't do anything about it. They physically can't do anything about it. What I'm trying to say is we are the ones also enforcing the protection for the female today. We love women. We love women more than how women love us. No. We love women. No, this is a fact. We can't fight upon a war. Hold on. I am saying to you, we have shared so much freedom to women that it's become an affliction unto man today. That's what we have done. And also, hold on. When the woman become masculine, men don't really, man, just lie with them, to get a buzz off. Because they've become their voice become unattractive. We have resentment in our heart. We have spiritual resentment, and we also have physical resentment against women today. That's what I meant by woman is not arousing us, because their mouths.
But the freedom that you continue to ignore is the simple fact that there is no man in the household. That's what's giving a woman the authority to actually feel like she don't have to respect you. She don't have to look at you. She can actually do well without you being there. You're absent. You're not there. And even if you are there, you're still not there some type of way. Whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally, you're still absent some type of way. That's what's giving her that authority. It has nothing to do with her being independent. It has nothing to do with you feeling like she's ruling over you. It has nothing to do with none of that. It has everything to do with you're absent.
Okay. Hear me out.
Will is given to
Come
both
into grace.
sexes.
All right, let me just come into grace for a second. Coming into grace. Let's say now I'm a man that see that I have not behaving like as how the Almighty wants me to behave. And I'm speaking from that point of view right now. Right? I am saying, now I've seen the light and how I'm supposed to behave. And I'm waking up to see, hey, I've given woman too much freedom. That my children that I have had,
Not
right?
give freedom.
No. I'm trying to show you something. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Now I want things to go according to the Almighty way. Right? One of the requirements is for woman to be submissive. And she cannot be dependent if she's submissive. That's what me as a man, when me a rule over my house, me know I'm a woman work then. Alright? She have to submit to that then. That means she have to depend upon me. Because I want she talk to me
She
nice.
can be self-sufficient and still
No,
actually
you're not
depend on you in other
She can't.
ways. She
She
can
can't.
still
She
be dependent on you and still be
No,
independent.
that's a narcissist. That's a narcissist because women can be independent. If you can provide for a woman in a way that she doesn't need to come to you for her basic needs, but you're providing for her, and she doesn't need to work, and she feels fulfilled in that role, not working in something that she finds a passion for, great. But this ideology that you have, it's a narcissistic mentality. I'm calling it out for what it is.
No, I'm trying to show you this is one. This is me and my wife becoming one. This is it, you know. This is not me. She has a different view from my marriage or from my kingdom or from my ruling order. That's what I'm trying to show you right there. She can have her opinion like how you have your opinion now, but when she come to my house, and we don't want whole earth where see this way, woman have to stay on there. They can't work.
Excuse me, sir. Let me address that situation. So let's say you have your woman and your covenant was that she's not going to work, she's going to be a housewife and you're going to take care of all her finances, right? No, she's with you and she's submitted to that deal that you proposed to her. Now, what if she meets me and I can offer her a better deal? What is the likelihood that she will remain loyal to that covenant if I'm giving her 10 times more the offer? So is it actual submission or is it pretend submission? You see what I'm saying? So this is why I said,
Could you repeat that again, please?
what I'm saying is, if in the covenant that you have with your wife, right, is that, okay, she's going to be a housewife and she's going to have whatever. No, if I can offer her 10 times or twice the amount of what you're offering her, what is the likelihood that she will remain loyal to your covenant and not come if it's money submission or financial submission she's under? What is the likelihood that she will remain loyal to your covenant and not come to mine? What is the probability? Like what percentage?
Her father.
Huh?
Got her from her father, and the agreements come back from her father.
I'm not talking about that. Listen what I'm saying.
System that is regulated.
No system. We're talking realistic. No system. I'm saying if you have a woman under the covenant that she can be a housewife, right? You're providing for her whatever you provide. Now I am a business owner and now I make her a better proposal that is 5 times better than what you offered. What is the likelihood? What is the probability that she's going to remain to your covenant and not to my covenant that I'm proposing to her? What do you think on a scale of 1 to 10? She's going to stay or she's going to come to my covenant? If your money is the only thing she's submitted to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is what you have today, right? That's the system that you have today where your wife go to work and they meet different men and different...
I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you. Brother, this is something that you have always been doing. I'm bringing a particular experience to you and you keep going to the system. I'm not dealing with the system. I'm not dealing with it 2,000 years ago. I'm not dealing with the future. I'm talking about in your household right now. If the woman is submitted to your financial dominion, your covenant that you're providing her as a housewife and whatever you give her a car. No, I am proposing her to live in a mansion by the beach, right? She can take certain trips. She has this access to this bank account and this insurance. If I'm giving her that proposal, what is the probability that she's going to remain faithful to you?
There's a great probability she would not be faithful because we have
So it goes back to what we are saying to say that if your only tactic is to put the woman under financial subjection, that means she was never subjected to you in the first place. That
No,
is
brother,
pretend.
no, you're misinterpreting me. No, you're misinterpreting me. Listen to me. I am talking about a future where the judgment of the Almighty is going to follow. No man can speak in one next man's ears, one next man's wife's ears.
Into the future, you keep coming away from the context. I said, stay today. The woman that is in your house today, right now, under your roof, that is your housewife. If I come to her and said, I'm giving you a mansion on the hill, I'm giving you the villa by the beach, I'm giving you this business to take care of, and this bank account, what is the probability that she's going to remain with you? That's what I'm asking you. Not future, not system, not the government. You're a woman in your house.
There's a
And
high chance that she will do whatever she wants to do.
what is the whatever? Be loyal. What is the whatever?
No,
I
she
want
not
to
to be
know.
loyal. She not to be loyal.
So
If
that,
it's a financial thing, she
brother, she was never subjected to you in the first place. That's what I'm saying. You're trying to lead with finances, and that's not leadership. You have to lead with the image you bear. So even if you're broke, there has to be something that she honors so much that she would not even walk away, because she believes in her capability so much to know that you're gonna get back on your feet. And even if she should decide to do something to say, you know what, life is really getting hard and I have the children and so forth, so I'm gonna do what is necessary, but I really honor you. And if that's different. But what I'm saying, what you're coming with is the same thing as back in the days with our grandparents, our grandmothers. When the grandfathers go to the bush, the only time she would eat is when the man bring the wood from the bush so she can get to cook and she can get the food and the fruits and so forth. And Saturdays she go to the markets. So naturally that woman has to be submitted to the grandfathers. So only guys that she would mess around with is other farmers who get home from the bush early, or the guys that come clean up the yard or something. But naturally they would submit to that husband, because the husband would be the only means of her to eat. So that's what I'm saying. We have to set apart submission from pretend submission. So she's not submitted to you, brother. Yeah, go ahead, Empress. I'm gonna get some water.
Yeah, so that was the point I was trying to make. It's not about being controlled into or being forced into submission, because if it is a case where you're saying that because of the freedom of the woman, that is why she's not submissive, then that is not true submission at all. It's like you can be a person that is not well off but still command respect from your wife in such a way that you don't even have to tell her she should respect you, or you don't have to dictate to her what is the law underneath your roof, so to speak. She will not naturally fall into place and fall into line, because I'm naturally a person I tend to stand up for myself and I make my own decisions. But when I get around my partner, I'm automatically submissive, and it's not because he is more well off than I am, or more educated than I am, or anything of the sort, but it's because of the man that he is that automatically I'm going to submit to him, regardless of what his stature in life is. So if it's just finances alone that you think is going to cause a woman to be submissive, then you got it wrong.
Women, you understand? They're loyal to you because you can do certain things with their career, or even in the normal working world. They pretend to be loyal because you're helping them with the career, or maybe the tuition fee for the college. But as soon as they get grounds to stand on, or better proposal, better deals, they're gone. Because they were not loyal to you, they were loyal to what you were doing for them. And we as men need to understand, and as Empress said earlier, that men should choose differently and women should choose. But if we are not sovereign in our intellect, in our intellectual decisions, if we are not sovereign, we're going to keep repeating the same problem. This is why we keep going back to the same women who will make poor choices while they're in relationships with us. It tells a lot about how confident we are as men. So when you're grounded as a man, guess what? You don't matter how good that woman look, you're not just going to go and do that because she lifts her skirt up in front of you. You're sovereign. This is your sovereignty. This is your empire here. You know what it is built on. So she cannot move you by just showing off her body, or these things that you're seeing online and, getting all crazy over virtual things, photos and videos. No, you're more sovereign. You're grounded in reality. You're not going and dating apps to look for women. You're not doing certain things. You're not engaging with women with certain state of mind, because you know that, okay, this is going to go against my morality. This goes against what I believe in. So therefore, I'm not even going to cross that line with that woman. If we're not sovereign enough to turn down something, pleasure or whatever it is, if we're not sovereign enough to do that, how are we going to lead these household? How are these women going to trust us when she comes into your house How can she trust you when if a woman comes before you shaking her booty, you're falling for it? How can she trust you? So this is what I'm saying. There has to be a sovereignty about you, because if you're a king, you have to be ruling a kingdom, and your kingdom starts here. So even if you don't have a physical house, how you stay here, that alone should conquer her. That's how you want to conquer a woman here.
Oh, okay.
Not with yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me say something, right? Yeah, let me say something to you. A man doesn't have right to tell an next man off ruling us. The only person that tell a man off ruling us is the Almighty. You understand me? Only Almighty. No, another man. He can listen to your words, and take your advice if him chose to. But no man is the ruler of a next man's house. So hear me answer now. See, only the Almighty show a man the rules of the earth and the rules on how we all supposed to run. What he's supposed to do and when he's supposed to do it near us. That's facts. And the Almighty make the rules for female and me. So if I were to give a woman a rule that the Almighty never give the female, would that be unrighteous? You get me, I said to you? Because remember now, we are all life children and the woman is the Almighty daughter. But the Almighty had given man rulership over the female. And we must rule under the laws of the Almighty and don't break the laws of the Almighty.
Question. Can I ask you a personal question?
Go ahead.
Do you have are you married? Are you with a woman now?
Yes, I am.
Do you have authority over her?
Of course, by right, I do. But I don't have it as supposed. I'm not free. I'm in slavery currently. We're in slavery.
No, not in that context. I'm saying you said the Almighty give men such and such. What I'm saying is,
but we are in slavery today. Men are dictating for our houses today.
Men are what? Go ahead.
Today. You hear me? Men are making laws for our houses today. We're not. I'm not ruling as how I'm supposed to rule today.
Let me welcome this person. Welcome, Unstoppable. Yeah, go ahead now, Sword. Oh, you're muted. Unstoppable, you have something you want to say?
No, not really. Just to listen to the conversation. We can have an input still, but Sword of Life can keep talking. For now.
What is it, brother?
No, me as I'm just listening, you can keep talking. I'm just listening.
I'm saying today we're not free to be authority over our home. We're slaves today. You understand me? Today we're not free.
So you're saying because you're not a free man, you're not. You said because. So you said because you're not a free man, your woman has authority over you. Then basically, is that what you're saying?
My woman doesn't want authority over me. What I'm trying to say is we're not free. We're not kings. We're servants of the system today.
Yes, but you're a servant of the system, but not servant of your wife. So what are you actually saying? I'm saying yes, you are a servant.
That means
so.
Right
you're
now,
a servant. You're a servant to a federal government. Hold on, let's get this clear. You're a servant to a federal government. Is your wife part of the federal government?
Most likely, they're more joined to the government than us. Because you understand that. Go inside. Stay inside. You give too much trouble. All right, here me say to you. Today, the woman is like, she more trusting to the government. She's lean more to the government than her husband. And the system is more protecting her and will take our children home. Our homes are not safe today. Our children are not safe today. Because our children, the women have more rights, 90% more rights than us. Or even 95% more rights than us over our own children today. That's what's happening today. We are there to only financially support them. So we're not really free. We're not kings. We're a servant of the system. You know what happened if a man don't pay child support?
I think you should more speak for yourself on that matter rather than a gen. No, hold on.
I'm gonna say one thing. Let me say one thing else.
Okay, go ahead.
For you to be more educated on what's going on in the system than criticize what I've just said. I don't like that. Because
you can't speak for every man on child support, man, because the system is corrupt, to all of us. Because I agree with him when he say woman have 90% right. You know what I'm saying? In terms of government control. You know what I'm saying? A system of a lot to do with our relationship. You know what I'm saying?
You can't even
Because
your youth them. You can't even be father to
and
youth.
the cause of that, a woman cause it because you know what I'm saying, the government the government can't intervene unless you allow them.
Y'all are saying that women
Listen,
are.
hold on, me finish. Right? Because alright, me have a brother, right? And him take care of him kids and things that go good in a marriage and he never work out in a film way. You know what I'm saying? He never work out in a film way and he's a good youth, but you know, it's a sad situation. And me understand how the system works, so the system not set up right, brother, may I tell you. Because some good father will take care of them child, them shouldn't have to go through certain things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, know my brother is not a deadbeat father, he's a good father. Always take care of his kids, but just your wife want to have him one way. You know what I'm saying? And divorce him and he end up and lose all him home. You know what I'm saying? One put him on child support. She never have to do that, but it's just the way the system works.
You know, you are right about the system. However, who designed the system? The system was
It's
designed
designed by Babylon. We
the
already
system
know
was
that.
designed by Babylon, which is ruled by Muslim men. And the thing about it, especially with the child support thing, first of all, there are a lot of women that are doing things that they ought not to do in terms of because the society is so driven by money and basically the appearances, keeping up appearances. A lot of women are going into relationships just because of what the man can do for them, or because the man holds a certain position in society, and so therefore they're going into relationships with negative for negative reasons, right? So that is true, and the system is it goes against the man in that regard. But who designed that? There were powerful men who designed these systems to break up homes, to break up families from day one, especially with the black family. These are men that control these systems, as Swart said it earlier, you know, that the world is a patriarchy. Yeah, so the systems of the world are designed by men. So regardless of how you guys split it, men are the ones that are ruling. Men are the ones that make the main major decisions, especially when it comes to society. Men are the ones who design this society. You understand me? So while I do agree that women have a role to play, because honest to God, it sick my stomach when I see the amount of women in Jamaica that have one baby and it's 10 different baby father potentially, 6 different baby father potentially. But when you look in America, you know, with the Murray situation and the what the other man named Jerry Springer, it's a societal thing. It's not just a black thing. It's not just a black thing. It's a white thing also. It's a cultural thing all over the world. You understand me? So yes, men are disproportionately unfairly targeted, especially when it comes to child support. But it's men that design the system to begin with. So the problem is, as I said before, and I will always say it, when men identify themselves, know who they are grounded in who they are, they're not going to accept certain women. They're not going to accept certain behaviors. And guess what's going to happen? Women will now look and say, boy, I don't have any choices out there. The men out there, they're holding us to a higher standard. I have to change up how I do things. Why? Because the men who are supposed to be the leaders are doing what they're supposed to do. But as long as men are not grounded, you're going to have women that are going to feel like, oh, I can take you for a fool. I can play you for a toy. I can use you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with it. I agree with you, you know, Empress. I agree with what Cosmic was saying. Because Cosmic was saying we gotta make sure we choose the type of woman who really fit for us. You know what I'm saying? Really choose right. You know what I'm saying? We can't really choose a woman off her looks and outside appearance. You know what I'm saying? We have to look woman who have, you know, something about them, and you know, woman that responsible, good woman. You know, they can't really look on the outside appearance and just choose a woman just so as how in look, as how in shape. You know, you will get yourself in a problem.
All right, so right, this goes back to this goes back to what I did say now about the root of the problem. For example, we understand what Babylon did and what Babylon is about, but we're still gonna take wives to ourselves, right? And so forth. So what I'm saying is, when a man is grounded or confident in himself, that's gonna show by the type of woman he's with. So guess what? Me see on TikTok, some women me see we make some posts. And I wonder if man really they sleep with them. First thing, me, you would never get me lie with a woman with them thing with them pierce on them forehead. Me don't know what that be. You would never get me lie with one of them. You see them bleach out something there and them heap of fake hair and fake nails. You would never get me lie with one of them. So what I'm saying is, if a man is not grounded, say, yo, not because the dolly they come and this and that. You know, Finch when I say that. You understand? Me not have eye to see them. If me see they that dance in a video, I skip past that. So what I'm saying is, you see, as long as men they validate these things, like up them picture. Sometimes I see some women they on live and them not even in the camera. And me can bet say if you should click on it, you're gonna be a bunch of men still there, hungry, thirsty if you see what you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes they even not saying anything, but it makes sense. But these low standard men are still going to be there to validate them. So until men start to stand their ground and stop putting themselves, if the person does not mirror your morality and your standards and principles, why the hell are you in bed with that woman? That's what I want to know. So if we want to fix the problem, let's go back to the root. We understand what Babylon is about. They already infiltrated the minds of the women and the men. But now that we know what we know that we know what Babylon is, now that we know what our self should be about, what I'm saying is, why do we go with these type of women who do these things? Sometimes I see some women come on social media and talk some things about relationship. We could never lie with them women there who don't know how to keep themselves, them certain things private.
So there's a growing. So there's a growing. And
Yeah, go ahead, man.
towards the woman is coming on right now. A great massive outcry and speak against the female currently. This will lead to the growth of abomination. That's something that's right now, it's very, very toxic. There's a divorce going on in the earth that you don't see. And I'm speaking on behalf of divorce. So I'm trying to say to you, we need to get back our woman where we see them attractive again. You get my message here? That's what I'm trying to get to you guys now. Is that we need to see our woman attractive again. And what we have shared to them today, we tend to speak against them, which is not right. Today, we don't want to get married to them because if you understand, say, you may lose all the way I work for, your house, every single thing, and your children at the same time. And then you have to pay all the money while she there with the next man. While she there with the next man, you have to pay all the money for that.
So hold on, no. This goes back to what we're saying about the woman. The serpent infiltrated the minds of the woman, but it also infiltrated the minds of the men. Because how comes first thing we talk about marriage, right? What is your concept of marriage, brother? So once you go down the road, if you put on ring on finger and let the federal government be the lord over your marriage, you already bow to the system, just like you're already eating the fruit. You're eating the corrupted knowledge, brother, because marriage is, as we know, an agreement between two families, and then you go to bed and then it is consummated. So the process of being married is what? When you make that agreement. The marriage is now, after you make the agreement, your daughter goes and lie with the man. That's the marriage. So what happens now, what you're teaching the daughter now is that, okay, you're going to admin on his landed property, administer on the landed property. He's going to put you in terms of certain business. And if, as Empress mentioned about purpose, it's not really purpose, but she might have a certain business that she's doing, right? So at the end of the day, you want to help her with the business. So what happens is, in the case of the man's passing, then no woman should be suffering. I see a lot of women go homeless because, oh, the man died. You shouldn't be living that way, that you're a housewife, you're fully taken care of, but as soon as the man dies, you go in a shelter. That should not happen. So that there are certain things that you should administer, and so we have to start teaching our daughters these things that they put.
Hold on, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, you don't, like, earlier on you said you accused me of me basing things on financials. You don't want any type of compensation in a marriage too. You don't award no woman compensation. You don't do that. Because once you do that, she can get your money and leave. And that's what's going on today in marriages. She have to see that when she go into a marriage, right, it's both of you together forever. And that's the focus right there. This is why I said that you have to take away make her dependent on the man. She must see the man as the only star in her eyes that can lead her. You see what I said to you? She has to be independent. So you keep the marriage forever. And the only man fear forever. You want the woman to see in that way. And this doesn't mean that you're going to oppress her or afflict her or hurt her or leave her to be desolate, if anything. These things is not going to happen to her. We also can see that our daughters are well taken care of. But we want to make sure that she adhere to the laws of marriage and stay within marriage for every time. She should not be here exploiting marriages. We have to make sure that.
Right. So let's ask this question of on behalf of like the woman's standpoint. So what if your woman you have a son with your woman, right? No, not you, because I'm gonna use passing. If a woman has a son with a man, right? And the man pass, like you said, the woman should not get certain things. If the
Not you, go ahead.
if the man pass, right, and you never administer the woman on your land, or you never put her as CEO as certain things, then what is the probability that your family, because this is something I know about, like a man is Catholic, he
I have a question.
hold on, I want to deal with I want to bring out this point.
But
Give
no,
me a
I'm
second.
saying with your point because of what he's saying.
Okay, go ahead.
Because of what he's saying, he's been saying the whole time to actually follow what the Most High is saying. And technically, it's written that you're supposed to distribute certain things. It's like you're supposed to actually secure your lineage before you leave here. And whether that's dealing with the woman or your kids, you still supposed to secure something. So how do you actually apply the law when you
My
want
woman
to,
is
but you take it
me.
away?
My woman is me, right? What's mine is also hers, but not for her to take away from me. If a man had a wife and the man died, that's hers. If the man even have two wives, it's for the both of them. That's the only time you have the only man pass on. But it's not for her to come and take half off, split it up, and for me to sell it to give half of it. You don't want that. That's destructive.
So, Andrew, is that the law that it has to wait until he dies before it's distributed?
No, that's what I'm saying. Because I think he's also under Western philosophy, but he does not know. Because what I'm saying, this is why I keep saying that no woman that's been taken care of, if the man passes today, she should not end up in shelter. This is something I see happen before. So what I'm saying is that once she gives you a son, brother, I think you should administer on that land. This is why Abraham, what he did.
I don't need to.
Okay. You don't need to, right? So what I'm saying is, what if when the man passes, right, the man's family come and take these things? Because hold on, I'm gonna tell you also about a woman that does the Roman wedding, right? Her husband passed about a month after they got married, and you know what happened to the house and the car and everything? Do you want me to tell you, or you can imagine? The family stripped every single thing from her. Right here in Jamaica, the family stripped everything from her. So what I'm saying is, no, if you're under the Bible way of doing things, right, and then you believe in the burial in a certain way, what if your family is Catholic and they do the burial different? What I'm saying is, if your wife does not have certain documented thing, how is your wife going to get your body to bury you the way that you would want to be buried and not according to the Catholic customs that your family is into? This is what I'm saying. Where is the line drawn, brother?
Okay. All right. Hear me out, brother.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. So it's about your family. Hold on. It's about the family of the man passing and the wife. That's where the battle is we're talking about. Go ahead.
Okay. So you what? If a man have a wife, right, and the man pass, you don't want to tie any financial gains from a man passing, because woman will be deceived. The woman can poison a man or do some harm to a man for financial wealth, which you have today for insurance. Man dead for their insurance and life insurance, you know. For woman for kaleki. You don't want to tie you don't want to have a barometer where money is the barometer. You don't want these things. Yes, there can be things set in place to protect her. You get my message? But you can't tie your life to your property. Or say, you know what, if I die, this is what you get. Because thoughts will come to mind to do you harm for those things. This is what I'm saying. You have to separate marriage from financial gains. You got to do that, brother.
Man, kill a man to and take.
Yeah, so you want you
take
But
away
everybody keeps saying death.
what
I'm
they have,
asking,
yeah.
in the law, when you actually have a child, isn't automatically everything is distributed, or is it the first child, or in law, how is it automatically supposed to go? Do you wait
Yeah,
until death,
it's the
or do
first
you
child. The
actually?
first child should get. The first
I'm
child should
saying
get.
in law. I'm saying in law.
In law, the first child should get it. It's in the laws
Okay,
of the
so is that
Almighty.
after you die, or is it automatic soon as it's born?
It's already his. If he's the firstborn, it does not have because of his death. That's what it.
Okay, so if that's how it is with a child, how do you put a woman in a position to, all right, okay, so just this decision gets made after I die. And technically, like he said, if you have a family member that actually can still come in and control certain things, if your mother is still alive, or if you have children, that woman is dismissed, or she automatically obligated to distribute it amongst everybody.
No, so if a man dies and she has children for that man, no external relative cannot come in and remove her from the property. No, by the laws of life, by the law, mankind laws are unjust.
So let's deal with that. When you say no external, because I just mentioned an experience to you.
That's a man law. That's a man law. That's not a just law.
Brother, come on, brother. We live in Babylon. Don't do that now. Don't try to do that with me. We're having a reasoning right now. So I'm bringing experiential reasoning with you to you. So I said there was this woman that did the Roman wedding, and when her husband passed, 1 month after they married, the man, the family of the man took everything from the woman, even the last thing, the car that she had. Hold on. The car that she had. The brother called and took that car. And I'm telling you about another family member now where the guy was Hebrew, the mother was Catholic, but because they did not do that, paperwork, when the guy died, his mother took him and buried him the Catholic way. So I gave you 2 experiences to deal with.
Okay.
I want you to integrate the Almighty Word into the experience today.
That's correct. If the man has passed on, right, and he died, his wife is not, for 1 month, his wife is not entitled to anything. His brother, his close offskin, are next in line to get his possession. That's according to the laws of the Almighty. The laws, when a man dies, doesn't distribute things to the daughter. The only time things are distributed to the daughter is that his father died. If her father dies, when her father dies, right? She and there's no son, she's in line to get that property. You understand? Because when she's married, right, that property becomes her husband. You understand me? Because she become one with her husband, and her husband is the leader of her property. You understand me? The Almighty followed the life of the pair, the male.
What we were talking about. Remember when we said earlier about the inheritance? So let's say the woman has a son. I understand the woman has no possession, but what I'm saying is when the woman have a son, remember we talk about the jealousy that she would secure the inheritance. That's why they always argue with the baby mother, because of the inheritance. They know that naturally. So I'm saying in the event where the woman has a son and the man dies, that's what we want to deal with. There's a son involved. What happens to that inheritance? That's what we want to know about. Go ahead.
So the woman and the son is the property of his family. You can't distribute the money to the woman. You can't make it an expectation. Say, hey, when a man die, we go give the woman this year. You don't want that. If the woman is entitled for it, it's her husband's. It's hers. You get me? It's hers. She have a husband. They've become one. They have kids together. That's her.
All right. Let's create another scenario. Let's create another scenario. Hold on.
May I say. If that woman have a son, that property belongs to the son. The son is the king, the heir for his throne. His son is the heir for his throne, not his relative.
Based on the way we live, based on the culture that we live in, this is why you would teach your daughter to make sure that she administers on that piece of land that would be given to her son. So this goes back to
okay. Let me get an understanding, right? All right. So a man, right? What his father gave him belongs to him. It's not for him to give to another family. This is why you have the Jubilee, because Jubilee, you have to exchange things back to the rightful owner. Unless the person just walk or left it totally. You understand me? Then it won't go out again. So what I'm trying to say to you is that piece of land belongs to that family forever. It's not for somebody else. So if that woman has a son, the son would be
Family.
heir of the property.
Right.
Yes. The only time things are distributed to a female is when time the father dies and the father doesn't have a son or an uncle or nobody else. He then will have to take the property because when she gets married, the property will move from her and go to her husband.
Okay, let's create another scenario now. In the event where the woman and the man are together, right? But the man goes abroad to work in a foreign country and was supposed to prepare her documents to come, but the man started a new life. When she is left in the country with a child, and she never administered on any gifts or inheritance or any landed property, anything at all, right? How does she? What is her compensation in that case? Your daughter. We're talking about your daughter now. Say your daughter has a man, but the man went abroad. Now he's still alive. He went abroad, but she's left with the child here. How do you judge that situation that the man abandoned her and she's left with nothing after he took her from his 18 years? He took your daughter at 18 years. She does not know anything about work. She does not know anything about anything out there. She only know about being a housewife. So no, you watch Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Let's judge that situation. So
Okay,
speak from that experience.
all right, okay. So here what? If a man was with my daughter, right? My daughter is a good woman. She had given him children, and he went abroad, right? By right, my daughter is entitled to be well taken care of no matter what he does. That's a just thing. The woman is not supposed to be afflicted, you know. Don't think that
Explain how. How would she be
I'm
taken
thinking
care
woman
of?
should be oppressed, you know.
Hold on. Stay with the
No,
reasoning. No, I want you to explain. Listen,
no
Sword.
one
I
can
want you.
remove the female from that.
Sword. Listen to what I'm saying. You said the woman should be taken care of, which we agree. So I'm saying when the man moves abroad to start a new life and the woman is here with a child, never administered on anything, is she gonna be taken care of? That's what I'm asking you.
Depending on the position that the man have, we could find ways to properly compensate the family of the daughter, because the daughter would have to go back to her father's house.
Explain the ways. Yeah, explain the ways that she's gonna be
you'd have to pay
compensated.
for my daughter. You'd have to pay for my daughter.
Hold on. How if the man goes abroad and start a new life, you have no contact with him, nothing at all. Your daughter has no contact. He cut off them. I'm speaking about things that happen. A lot of people go abroad and they cut off what they left at home. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, this is basically what I'm saying. How is that woman gonna be compensated with her child now? So we are now creating another single mother. So explain to me, how is she going to be compensated, because she should not have to go back to her mother's house. And this is why when it comes down to the ring with the Roman wedding, the thing about ring is not enough of a token for a woman, because if something happened to the husband, guess what, the ring should be able to, you can sell the ring to buy a house, buy a property or something to start over life, not going back to your parents' house. That is the purpose of the token. You give him a token, it has to be valuable enough to worth the fact that he's going to take away your daughter, because when you take away a man's daughter, you take away the maid, you take away a pair of hands. So the person that used to wipe down your windows, milk your goats and cows and tend to your meals, guess what? When you take away that, what's going to happen to you? You're going to need enough money to pay for another maid to come and do the same service. So that's what the purpose of the money was about. So look into it from that standpoint. How is the woman
my
gonna?
daughter, right? I have to be properly compensated according to the diary of a female. According to the diary of a female, you have to pay me. We are going to fine you, and you are going to have to pay me.
What are the ages of your daughter, if you don't mind me asking? Can I ask you a personal question? You have an older daughter, old enough daughter?
I'm praying that judgment day come before they become. I'm sure, and I know. I mean, listen to me. I believe that before they can come out of the house, judgment day will happen before. We're very close. Something significant have happened today. Significant geopolitically have happened today. A big thing have happened in Russia. So we're escalating to our judgment day. So I'm pretty sure I will have them before judgment day, where I have all this, what I'm saying, over them. And change will make in the earth as well. The Almighty is about to do judgment.
Okay, can I ask a question before I lose my train of thought? Because you mentioned something that I want to query. I want you to speak in the context of reality now, in the context of today's day, because I think Cosmic asked a very important question, right? Because you said that he would have to compensate her in some way, or you would find them and pay. But in reality, now let's be realistic. So we're living in Jamaica, as Cosmic says. Your daughter finds somebody, they come to an agreement, they decide to get married. Everything is good in the beginning. Because I've seen this happen as well. The man decides, hey, listen, I'm going to have to go overseas to make life for both of us. And for whatever reason, that man decides that, hey, listen to me. Him not even call her, him not text her, him not make her know that he's moved on. He's just moved on, dropped off the face of the earth. Because remember, you said that a woman mustn't be given any, and it shouldn't be transactional, and she shouldn't be given anything, or what I want to paraphrase, but basically she should not be given anything, because then she can up and leave with everything. So then your daughter goes into this marriage, she has nothing to her name. He has not set up a bank account for her to say, hey, this is yours, and whenever you need it, you can always access it. I'll always make sure money is in it. You don't even have to come and beg me for money, because I'll keep topping up your account, so you'll always have money in case anything. I'm gonna keep paying the bills, but just in case anything, you're gonna have money, save me. So he's not setting her up for success. He's not saying, okay, this land is yours, and anything happened to me, it's already in paper, in writing, so this is now yours. So because you agree, your belief is that everything that is his is hers as well, but she doesn't need paperwork to prove it. So he goes off, and she's still living on his property. So he goes off and he's living in abroad. And I see this happen to my aunt, so this is why I'm giving this example. He goes off and he's abroad. He doesn't contact her or anything. All of a sudden, the family members come and say, hey, you have to lift up off of this, you have to go move. She don't have no contact with the man, and they won't give her access to the man. They still talk to him, but she has no access. What would you do in that in that sense? Because you remember, you already said that she should not be given anything to begin with.
No, hold on. If we're gonna talk, all right. So today we don't have any perfect regulations within this area, right? So I've stand on my point in where I said that woman, you can't allow things to be compensated. You can't take an ex-man property, because that property can be in a family for generations, right? That passing from father to father, and it's in that family. You can't remove it. That's for family right there. That's how the Almighty set the law.
So you keep, I don't know, say there's something wrong with your reason though, that I can't appreciate, because like, hold on. I want to, I don't know if you understand it, because this is our second time meeting, and there's, you reason a certain way that kind of make it difficult. Okay, let's put the wife aside. Your daughter has a son for the man. Now, you said the inheritance would pass down to the son, right? Now, if the family come for the man, come and kick your daughter and her son, which is your grandson, off the property, how do you compensate? How do you do for the son to get the property? That's what, answer it from the standpoint of the son, because you said the woman should not have anything. So let's deal with your son, the son.
They have to today. Mankind has set up system to
Brother,
compensate
why
the
you
woman.
listen? We're not talking about the system. I want to talk to you as a man. Don't talk about the system. Don't talk about Babylon. I want to talk to you as a man. So your daughter has a son, and the father for that son went abroad, right? Now the family for that man, they come and lift up your grandson and your daughter. What are you going to do to compensate them? That's what I'm saying. How are you going to ensure that the inheritance goes to that son? That's what I'm saying. Deal with that reality, not the system, not Babylon, not the king of the earth, not the prime minister. You as the man, as the father for your daughter. How do you fix that your grandson gets the right inheritance? That's what I'm asking you. I hope my question is clear. Maybe that's the best answer, because there's no way that you're gonna deal with that. No matter how you want to talk about that thing that you're talking about, the Almighty and the Word, you have to wait until that kingdom is established, brother, because you're trying to put a word in a reality that does not exist. The word that the Most
I
High.
agree that this doesn't exist. I'm trying to tell you, I have to stick with the laws that are currently in place.
But how do, it's not you control, it's not you are not the king, brother. So how you can control what the Jamaica do, or whatever country, how do you control that when you are not the government body of that country? So what I'm saying is, in your daughter's life, since you want to uphold the law in a land that is not ours like that, what I'm saying is, how do you ensure that your grandson gets the inheritance after his father goes abroad and the family comes in to take away the substance? How
This
do
is
you?
why I told you I'll put forward a contract from the beginning of their relationship. If my daughter come out of my house without my authority to this family, right, or without me and that family have an agreement and or a contract of what's going on, right, according to the laws of the Almighty, right, between both families, whatever, if my daughter go out and she get what she get, if she go out by herself, me not going to business with that already because she go out without my authority, whatever she feel she take. You see what I say? But under the contract, it's a binding agreement that we can present to any court that both parties have signed this. It's like a prenuptial agreement.
I mean, okay, so prenuptial. So what about your grandson now? How does your grandson get his inheritance?
So if my son,
The covenant is between, hold on, the covenant is between your daughter and the husband. Now, when your son comes in the picture, that was not mentioned in the covenant. How, do
no,
you
it
write?
will be mentioned in the covenant.
Okay, what do you
Because
mention?
because you have to think automatically, in the future, children will be born from this agreement. So you have to know, so you have to protect your children that come, or children where she give him must be protected. And not fall back on you.
So how do you secure that in the
Of course. So
covenant?
if we set this, or for instance, let's say my daughter is her first husband, or he's my daughter's first husband. Then all the children that my grandson, we could say he's entitled to the majority of the possession of his property. He's the heir for that. He's the heir for his throne, his kingdom. We can state that in the contract with his fear. That's
Yes,
fear.
but how do you enforce it? How do you enforce it? That's the question. It's
No,
all well and good
because I said it is like a prenuptial agreement, the contract. That means this is withstanding in court. It is a legal binding agreement that any lawyers can have to see to enforce these things, that he must agree to this when he take my daughter.
Yeah, but he's not here anymore. Remember, the context that was given to you is that the man has run off. There's no way for you to reach this man. You don't know where
No,
he
but
is, right?
this is why earlier on I said before the conversation, I will have that agreement within my house, in my present. That contract, board contract, right? I will have my copy of it as a father. I've stated this earlier on, the
Yes,
copy
I
of the token
agree.
of her virginity. All of these things will be
Yes, you
there.
have all the proof, but
Plus
remember,
witnesses of my lawyer and all them things they did it. So
yeah, but
we can have them binding contract. It's like arrangement.
yes, it's a binding contract. I don't disagree with you. It is a binding contract, but how do you enforce it? This is why I say it to you.
So
Be realistic.
remember, both party family got it there. So his father and his mother got it there. So both father.
But that's not how the laws work. Hold on, sweetheart. That's not how the laws work. You have the agreement. Remember saying, no, this is, you're speaking idealistically. If
Have
it
you
were
went to
to be-
hold on, have you ever seen a prenuptial agreement? It
I
is
have,
what I'm
but
trying to say to you. This is like a prenuptial agreement.
allow
Right.
me to address what you just asked me, because what you're speaking on is an idealistic way of things to be and where things are right now. How the laws work is
Hold on.
different.
This is a prenuptial agreement that
Between-
any man can have to enforce in a
Yes,
court.
but the laws of the land do not
No,
work.
you can put whatever you want in a prenuptial agreement. You can put what you want in there, and I
you-
can put that in there for my daughter.
Can you let me finish? You put all of that in the agreement. I'm not saying the agreement isn't there. That's besides the point. You've done your due diligence. You have the copies of all the things, and you've done everything, and everything is laid out. And then, because you have no control over certain things, all of that has been done. You've done the right thing. You have all the legal documents to prove whatever. But the man goes away. You don't have any way, because the agreement is going to be between the man and the man and your daughter, regardless of whether or not you have a say in the prenuptial agreement. It's besides the point, right? Even though both families are involved, when it comes to the law, the agreement is between the man and your daughter. So the man has now absconded. The man skipped town. The man disappeared. The only people that have access to this man is his family, and they refuse to give information. There is nowhere on the planet that the family is going to be forced to give up that information. No lawyer, no judge, no jury, and no police cannot force the family of the man to say, okay, he's in America or he's in Canada and this is his address and this is how you're going to reach him. Nobody's going to be able to force the family to cooperate with the system. Yeah. So no matter how much agreement you have on documents and paper or whatever,
Today, here one, and I make up something, and I say, today, if one woman, I know somebody right now, right? His father had died, right? Left a big house and a little store, then, and this is probably this is in Trelawney, and his father died, and he doesn't get nothing. And his stepmother take everything and give to fear children then. One next man child inherit it. You think that fair? So the man, him father building house from scratch, his mother have ex-wife, the woman have no involvement of building that. None. No involvement. She come back and see everything. And she get it.
yeah, but the land that I was referring to is the woman go and live on the man land. So I'm not talking in the concept the woman. I'm talking about stick with the scenario. The scenario is your daughter married a man that have land and houses and whatever the thing he is. He left her on that land to say, hey babes, because that's what happened to my aunt. So this is why I'm giving you this experience. He left her on the property. Right, this is I'm going overseas. I'm gonna go and make life for us, but you can stay here because you are my wife. Right, they have children together, right? But the man decided he went overseas, he's met somebody new, he decided, I'm not even gonna look back at Jamaica. He didn't do the courtesy of even notifying her that he's moving on. Him just move on, tell him family, and then him family move her off. The land belonged to him. So if it were your daughter, that's why I asked you this way, if it were your daughter married into this family where the man have his own property and he said to her, listen, I love you with all my heart and I'm going overseas to make some life for both of us. This land is my land and what is mine is yours and what is yours is mine. So here we're going. You can stay here as long as you want because you have my child, right? But then he goes overseas and sees greener grass on the other side. And decides, you know what, I don't want to stick to this agreement anymore. And his family now takes over and tells her she has to move and she has to move. There's no redress for your daughter in that case because you believe that she should have nothing. So therefore, because she should have nothing from the get-go, that is not in the agreement. That when you marry my daughter, you have to identify a piece of property where you want to make sure, say, regardless of what happened, that my daughter own, because you don't already say the woman is not supposed to own anything. So therefore, if that's not
I think we're talking in circle here. I really think we're talking in circle.
No, we're not. I'm the one bringing
we
it
are
back.
because it's the same thing as me sharing out a property for her to become a wife. It's the same thing.
No, but
It's the same thing. I said.
that's anything. You see, this is why I'm
That's
asking you.
what if the same family where she give the property, right? When she give her property, right? They still take the property from her because they don't want to see no other man on the property.
What I'm saying is that can happen, but you the reason why I asked you that way is because you explicitly said that women should not be allowed to have anything. You specifically stated that, and so this is why I'm asking you in this context. You cannot have one rule here and another rule there when it's convenient. If it is your rule, it is your rule. So if it is your rule that the woman is not entitled to own anything, that means your daughter is not entitled to own anything. She has no legal right to it. If she is not on the paperwork to say this is mine regardless of whatever happens, then she not have no legal right to the property if the family
No,
comes
when I give my daughter away, right? I am not giving her doors for her to walk out of her marriage, thinking that she be enriched by her husband or deceive her husband to acquire wealth to say she's going to become independent so she can go do whatever she wants. My daughter, when I give her away, she's there with her husband for a lifetime, forever and forever and forever. She should be with her husband. To be married, it's not there to set for financial gains. Once she go into that house, that man is supposed to treat my daughter like how he treat himself. That she has second command over all line property. And this is how she have access to the property, by being her husband, being his together forever. You understand me? This is where I don't want to leave room where divorce become compensated by, she could get financial wealth. I don't want to leave no room for that. That's
Can I
not life.
speak?
That's not genuine. That's not nice. And that's what you have today.
Let me speak for a second. Can you guys hear me because I'm not using microphone? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
All right. What I'm saying with your reasoning, you don't separate what you think and feel or what the God word says from what people are doing today, because she keep on. I gave you specific experiences and you keep moving away from the specific experience to talk about what you think and feel. She gave you an experience with her aunt to judge that matter and you still move away from that experience.
Oh, I answered the question, but you are answering the question also.
Brother, listen, brother, you think you're answering. Listen what you I'm gonna tell you exactly what you did. Right? You mentioned about your daughter, but she was saying not in the sense where your daughter divorced the man. She's saying the man out of it. You know how the Messiah says, the Messiah said, because of the hardness of your heart, because of the hardness of the husband's heart, he went abroad and abandoned your daughter. No, the family wants her off the property. That was the case that she presented to you to judge over, and you kept going up, you kept judging everything except the case that she said the man abandoned your daughter. Now she has nowhere to go. That's what she said to rule over, brother. Why you keep going over?
Hold on. Me go answer your question. And here me go answer your question again, okay? Me answer your question.
No, answer again. You never answered it.
Oh,
Brother.
okay. Today in the system, we're talking about what's
Brother,
correct.
brother,
Hold on. Today, what in the system? Once
I
you're
don't want to
married
hear
to
the
a man,
system
hold
from
on.
you. I want to hear your judgment, brother. You
So hold on. Before you give judgment, hold on.
No. Let me mute you for a second because I think you have a listening problem, brother. You keep going back to this. I keep saying to you, not the system, not the prime minister, not the president, your house, brother. We keep on talking about your house. So why you keep going back to the system or what people are doing? That's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
in my house,
Brother, hold on, brother. You're not listening. This is what she was saying earlier with the woman. When the woman is talking, the man not listening. And now we're talking as men. You're still not listening, brother. You're just quick to... You're stuck in what the word says and a culture that no longer exists. And you're trying to merge the two, and it's like putting iron and clay together. They cannot fuse, brother. What I'm saying is, her question, I'm echoing her question. In the case where the man abandoned your daughter, judge that situation. The man abandons your daughter because your daughter has no inheritance, right? So the man went away before anything happened. Judge that matter. That's what she's saying, brother. And that's gonna be the last question because my battery is going too. So you can answer, judge that question, and wrap it up.
okay, all right. So if I have power to make a judgment where no political party or groups or no man making law for me, and I have a right to make a judgment so that my daughter be treated fair with her child, then I have to make agreement with that family. So, as I said earlier on, I would have contracts. If you want my to be wed to my daughter, there's going to be a contract to protect her and her children. That's fair, to protect her and her children. And in the contract, right, we have to be just and fair that my daughter don't see to take an ex-man property, go remarried, and then give that property to somebody else. That's not a fair thing because you're taking that family property away that man had passed on to his son, that should go on to his son.
The thing
Right?
I just explained to you,
I've
brother,
answered it. So the judgment has to be fair. The judgment has to be respectful of that family and also of mine. You can't judge or hurt one people and feel say right. That's not just. That's not what you call just, you know. Just is a balanced thing that quench every hard anger. This man saying,
But with that logic, if he goes abroad, that still doesn't
So
even count.
if he
Because
goes
if he
abroad,
goes abroad, what y'all wrote in Jamaica don't count if he comes to the United States. Whatever y'all wrote there, if they come here, he don't have to abide by that. Once he moves location on where you at, it's not an obligation.
Exactly.
No. So hold on. No, you're not listening.
But
If we have a contract, right? If we have agreement, it's the same way. If the man had given her a property, if he had walked away, it's the same thing. The family themselves can say, "Hey, we can also take that property away as well." They still can do that.
No,
so I'm trying to say to you,
brother,
they can.
Listen, if you administer, hold on. So you're saying that if you administer,
if that guy has administered a property to the female in the agreement, that family, when he works as go over, the family still can withhold that property away from her too as well.
How? Explain how.
Of course, just as though they're in a marital home, right? Which under the last current law, you can't take it from her, right? In the current law you have today. The same property where she get in a marital home, the family can take away from her too as well. So you have to respect the laws of the land then, basically.
So you're saying that if I administer a woman and my landed property, you're saying that my family can still take away even when the
Of
name
course, it can. Because you're going against what I'm saying. Because we are agreement both. The agreement that's an administration as well, you know.
Hold on.
Also the same thing I'm doing right there.
Hold on. Empress is married.
I'm administering the same thing as well when I give a contract.
Let me hear from Empress because she was once married. So let me see how that paperwork go because I've never been married on that paperwork. Empress, when you're married, right, and your name goes on your husband's land, his family can still take it from you?
Under no circumstances. Under no circumstances. Once my name is on there, them can try, but legally they cannot because my name is on there.
Sword, explain how they can legally take it away when your daughter is administered on the husband's land. Explain how they can legally how the family can legally take it away. Because I don't understand that.
So you're saying when time a female is married, right? It's not the same thing? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not talking, when you say married, I don't know what you're talking. I'm saying when you administer a person's name on the land, right? I'm saying, can your family take that away from that person?
No, I'm not saying that. But it's the same context of being married though as well. Unless the property is in that guy's parent name.
No, I'm saying the guy's name, brother. I don't know why every time we give you experience, you always try to add something. This is why it's so hard for you to answer our questions. She was saying that the woman, her aunt, was living on a man's property and the man went abroad and abandoned her. So I'm saying is when you administer your daughter to the man's land that she's married to, what I'm saying, the family has no power legally by the law of the land to strip her from that. So what I was saying to you about
they were married, brother. They were married.
What I was saying to you about the woman that did the Roman wedding is that a lot of women run down marriage, but they do not run down to be administered on landed property, insurance, bank accounts, and all these things. So at the end of the day, when the man pass, or if something should happen, they go into shelters, and it should not be so. No woman should leave her father's house and spend a decade with a man only to go back to her father's house. That should not be so. That's what I'm saying. So something is not right, brother. You're thinking that because somebody signed a contract, they're going to be loyal to the contract until the day of their death, and that is in your head. That's what I'm saying. Deal with the reality today, the heart of man today, right? The man can still abandon the woman as much as he tell her, come and stay on my land. I see this happen a lot. This is why I'm bringing actual experiences, not things I'm thinking. You're thinking because the law says this or because the contract says this, it means the person cannot go against it. No, nothing works like that, brother. The contracts, this is why Empress was asking, how can you enforce? How are you going to ensure that the man does not abandon the woman and the family? You cannot stop that, brother.
Brother.
So how are we going to secure our daughters in these cases now? Let's find a solution to go forward because my battery is at 10%.
Yeah. I think you're trying to debunk what I'm saying that is righteous to make excuse say it's not gonna work.
Righteousness cannot work in
What
an
you're
unrighteous
saying is
world,
to
brother.
benefit you, and you're not thinking about everybody else. What you're saying is to simply sit there and benefit you on what you think you want to go on within your household and how you desire things to go. You're not logically thinking of other scenarios with other people. You're thinking of yourself. So you're trying to you're talking about somebody trying to debunk you. It has nothing to do with the Most High. It has nothing to do with righteousness. It's what you want and what power you feel women have that you don't want them to have. It's something that you are trying to do. It has nothing to do with the Most High. And you're using the Most High word as a source of power to sit there and basically take over whatever you got going on. That has nothing to do with it.
Exactly. He sounds like he's from GMS.
Hold on. Hear me out. All right, you see, there's a great marriage is significant within realm. It's not something that should be exploited at all or for any financial gain.
It's not.
No, hold on. When people are gonna get married, it is something forever. It should be forever. You're listening to me. When I say forever, Basically, that means if you find divorce, there's an imperfection in one of the person. There's imperfection. Some flaw is within a person for divorce to come about. That's the only time you're supposed to have divorce. It has to be life-threatening, and that means that person has a mental issue where he's doing harm. He's not doing his duty that is supposed to be done. Divorce, so marriage is not something to play around with. It's an eternal thing.
Can
You
I ask you a
understand me?
question?
So hold on. So his property is gonna be with his wife forever. So it's not about
You
exploitation. Like
speaking on what's
you're gonna
supposed to be and what's not logically going on. You keep saying what's supposed to be. You're not saying
So what I'm
logically.
trying to say to you. So I am seen in that way. That's the same thing I'm gonna give to my daughter. So any man that come to me for my daughter in this time here, we legal team around then.
Okay, so
Our
your
legal
legal
team
agreement.
is
Hold
gonna
on.
be around. Everything's gonna be a record.
Okay, so yeah,
And
on
we want some
record then.
effort to
Hold
protect
on,
my
on
daughter.
record, to that point, on record then, you're going to say, listen to me, sir. You're marrying my daughter, therefore she should have X amount of acres of land to her name that you need to make sure that anything happens to her, to you, she is well taken care of. You're going to make sure that that's in your legally binding contract. Because remember, you said that the woman shouldn't own anything. So you're speaking from two different perspectives. Because on one side end, you're saying women shouldn't own anything. And on the other end, you're saying that she should be taken care of. So how is it that, remember, we're not talking idealistically on what's supposed to be. We're speaking on reality, what's really happening in the world. Yeah? So you're saying that when it comes to the time when your daughter is supposed to be married, you are going to...
Okay. So you know what? Whenever time my daughter go take one man, me go see you there as my son. As how me see myself, where me not go treat him like I would want to be treated by somebody else. Right? Me not go see him like him not want king. Me go see him like I want king in a house. You see me I said to you? And so here I go on. Me not go give my daughter leverage for do him harm.
Okay,
Because
so
me go
then
see my son as well. Hold on.
Hold on, no,
Hear me
the
out.
answer is no. No, before you
Even
jump,
though
you
I'm
tend
my
to
daughter,
jump
hold
from
on.
one, brother. You tend to jump. I want to make sure I get what you said because you tend to jump from one point to the next. I want to hear explicitly yes or explicitly no. Yes, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that. Or no, I will not go into the negotiating table and say, sir, you have to make sure that my daughter have certain amount of money or certain amount of
No,
things that
all right.
she's okay with.
The
You're
agreement
saying,
is if anything happen to you, my daughter can't leave from the home with her children them.
so that's a no then. That's a no then.
No, me can't listen, me don't want to compensate nobody
Okay.
for nothing because
Okay.
you can't murder can't commit no them thing them sister. You know hear me say if
Okay.
we see it happening here
So
to
obviously,
mitigate these things from happening, you can't make marriage become something you can exploit or you're gonna
it's
be
not about,
rewarded with
listen, you notice
anything.
what I asked about? I'm not talking in general marriage. I'm talking about your daughter now, flesh of your flesh.
Yeah, I'm talking about my daughter who I love.
Okay.
Me not become a
Okay.
daughter, me go do harm to one next man, brother. One next man.
It's
That's
not
son.
about doing harm. It's not doing harm. It's about the negotiating table. It's about taking care of your daughter.
Yes, I agree.
You're
I
saying
hear
that,
you
so
sister.
you're saying that it is harm to the man to say to the man that, hey, listen,
Not,
when you
I am
take
not
on
gonna be
my
selfish for my daughter. Me not gonna slap my daughter.
I feel sorry for your
Let me
daughter.
answer your question. Let me answer your question, Empress. I am not gonna give my daughter special preference that the Almighty would never give a woman.
No, that's your opinion of what the Almighty would give a woman. That is your opinion. When you state something as an opinion, don't claim it to be factual.
Hold on. Today, you have a man saying he will put in wife on the insurance if he die, right? Health in life insurance. Woman, plot with the lover.
Man do that too.
So this is what I'm saying. You want to take anything out.
And women.
Hold on. I am trying to say to you, you want to take all money off of life when you're doing that. You want the marriage to be what is centered at attention. I don't want no exploitation. I want true love. True love,
You want.
more.
It's about what
Marriage
you want.
forever. You
Brother,
understand me?
have to step- you have to step
So hold
outside.
on. You
But
can't
you
sit
saying
where
it as if
everyone-
they
hold
can't
on,
come
hold
to
on,
the
hold on,
table
give
with a
it-
poker face.
No,
You
but
saying
hold on,
it as
man.
if they can't come to the table one person to leave another. You
No, hold on.
saying
I am
it based
not
off if
saying my
you just
daughter won't
have
be
like
taken
you're
care of.
able
We're not
to
gonna
read
start
through a
hold
person
on,
and they
hold on.
gonna be the same person they were at that table when they leave and go the next day. That's how you're going about it.
Because back to
No,
what I
I
said
am
about
not
pretend
saying my
submission.
daughter will not be taken care of. I am saying to you, we're not gonna put no emphasis on reward. If a demise happen to a person, okay, this will happen. I will get this. People will take out people quick, forget their
That's not what
inherited
I asked you,
portion.
sir. But that's not what I asked you, sir. What I said is it's not about compensation. It's not about you're expecting things to go wrong. It's about what is right. Right? So it's not about what you think should be right or what should be wrong. It's about what actually happens in the world today. The fact of the matter is you are saying, and it tells me a lot about the kind of person you are. You are saying that you are going to go to the negotiation table, because I don't know if that's how you really intend to do it, because a lot of men say a lot of things, but at the end of the day, that's not how it is done, right? You're saying that when your daughter decides to get married, first of all, based on how you're talking, she won't be able to make that decision without first consulting you. So she's gonna get married, she brings the boy home, you meet the boy,
No, she can't bring no boy over.
the boy, and then you're saying that you literally will not sit at the table and say, sir, make sure I have my daughter, and when she's under my roof, I take care of all of her needs. Make sure you take care of all of her needs.
No, I'm not saying that. I never said that.
No, hold on. Ensure that she has the things that she needs. Meaning, because you see, in the relationships that you are describing, the woman doesn't have anything.
Empress, I've just learned that you guys are not listening to what I'm trying to say. Because I've stated all the things that would be done for my daughter that would be good to her.
I'm gonna speak now, right? So you're saying that first of all, it sounds to me that you do not trust your daughter to make her own decisions. Second of all, you believe that all women are prone to some loose behaviors, obviously based on your experience or your mindset, I don't know. But you're saying that you will not go to the negotiating table in today's day. I'm not talking about how it's supposed to be or how it was in the past or how you think it's gonna be in the future. Today day, yeah. Me chat patwa. Today day, yeah. Yeah? Your daughter finds a man, decides to get married to this man. You're going to hand your daughter over and say, listen to me, daughter, you completely submit to this man. I don't care what happened, it's forever and ever, amen. And then if she wants excuse my language, but if she wants a pad, because my mother went through this, if she wants a pad, because she's on her menses, she have to go and ask him for the money, because him don't leave money on for her regularly, just for her to have. If she want money, he have to know what she's going to do with it. Him don't just give her money because you are the wife and you're supposed to be running the household. This is your money. You do what you want to do with it. Make sure it's the food in the house. Put on aside something aside for yourself. Right? You're gonna say to me that you're gonna send your daughter into a relationship where, as according to you, she's totally dependent on a man, right? Who can then manipulate her psyche, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and all of the other allies them out there. You're saying to me, you're completely comfortable in your mind saying to your daughter, listen to me, you submit to your husband, and if the husband decides that, listen to me, I don't even want her to work. She's not supposed to work. I don't even want her to own a house or a car. She's not supposed to own a car. She's not supposed to own property. That's what you're saying to me. That tells me a lot about you, and I feel sorry for your daughter.
Let me just wrap it up. Hold on.
Hold on. You don't have to worry about my daughter. My daughter in a safe hand. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you something. I love my daughter more than all their mother love them. I've kissed them and take care of them more than their mother take care of them. Their mother currently don't work. Their mother don't get me not beat and afflict their mother. Their mother don't have to ask for money. You see what I say? Me take care of my woman. This is how I want my daughter to be taken care of. I take care of my woman. That's what I do. I don't have her working, right? And she's not afflicted. We don't even argue. I don't even argue with her. Her mom will come and say, "Me love how you take care of my daughter." No, let me say this, right? I have never said my daughter won't be taken care of. What I have mitigate is quarrel and fight in her home. Me not make woman become masculine in her home. Me make woman become submissive. The system that is in place is for woman to be submissive, so you have longer longevity in the marriage. You don't have a marriage. Today, a man has submit in the house. A man has submit. Because woman goes so strong, you have to submit. It's go sleep on the couch. And so when man become where they must submit, boys will grow weak. And there's a ripple effect. When boys grow weak, you don't have men to produce infrastructure, and a man become lazy. And when men grow weak, also you don't have man producing babies. Men become homosexuals. You understand me? So there's a hold on. I said earlier on, there's a specific way that the Almighty had made life to be. There's an order. And that's in the context I'm talking about. I've never said the woman is not going to be taken care of, you know. I've told you that both parties will come together and we will have contracts and how everyone will be treated. Right? And we're going to make preparation that everyone is safely taken care of. But I can't go in our next man's house and say, hey, what go on now? Do this. We can't have in PFE, we can't have a diary. A diary for the maid. We ain't have to pay for my daughter and pay me a certain deal in of money. In pay me, that means for anything, me have money when we pay me for my daughter to take care
Yeah,
of
but that's
anything.
not today's world, though. That doesn't happen in today's
Yeah,
world.
it does. It does happen in Africa today. It happen in
In
Africa today.
Africa, we're not in Africa, sir.
Yeah, I agree, but
We are not in Africa, so you're not speaking
I'm
realistically.
speaking.
You're
Hold on.
speaking
I'm
idealistically.
speaking what I will do to my daughter. I've spoken on all the things that I will do for my daughter.
Oh, so the man that's coming to your daughter has to pay the dowry and has to. Okay, well, good luck with that.
I go on. And no man can't just see my daughter and take my daughter. Them have to come to me.
Good luck
All
with
right,
that.
all right, guys. I'm at
As
five
I go my
questions.
house
So,
different, you know. You have to come to my daughter can't go look no man and come on my yard. You have to come to
Good
me.
luck with it.
all right. I'm gonna wrap it up. But my advice to you, Sword, is that you separate what you want and don't want from what is, because I've seen this in your reason from the last time, and I'm seeing it again. So
I must say one more thing before you go to host. Host,
yeah,
this is what I tell you is to come and you go come with force.
we don't
And not go
disagree.
bow down and take it. I guarantee you today. Remember
We
me
don't
today.
no man.
When
We
I
don't
say to you,
disagree.
you go come with force in a negotiation.
Sword, no,
You
what you're
come with
doing is
great force.
Sword.
That's not
Sword.
scriptural. That's an opinion, and that's nowhere in scripture.
Today,
That's an
what today?
opinion.
Hold on. Did you know
When the new
today?
world
Hold on.
comes, there will be no
Did you know?
marrying and giving
I
into
tell you, hold on. I said
marriage.
something happened
There
today
will be no marrying
geopolitically.
and giving into
You're not
marriage.
paying attention. We're heading towards judgment day. Where my God then, I go put judgment on the earth and wipe up everything we are against in way. My God. If you don't want to send a phone to God, but my God, life, I go put feet him order in us up and make a representative of my God and speak with him go put in here so then. And he did something great today. We want to pay attention to because I'm not really seeing you. He
Can
go
I ask you a
come go
personal
surprise you
question?
with something where when you go afraid.
Can
Wonderful
I ask you a personal question, Sword?
answers that you never answer.
Go ahead.
I'm asking you if you're familiar with a group named GMS. Are you familiar with their teachings?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. All right, I'm closing up now. The battery is at 5%. Thank you guys for participating, and thank you guys who tune in and listen and everything. So until then, I'll see you guys next time. I appreciate the conversation. All right,
All right.
Shalom. Yeah, respect, Sword.